question my moves. I stick to the path that I choose. Me and my friends, we're gonna do it right. You'll never see us run away from a fight. To be a master is my dream. All I got to do is believe. I believe I've got a chance to win. I'm on my way to victory. Pokemon, I can be a champion if I just believe. I'm on a master quest. I want the whole world to see. I believe I'll be the very best. Cause all I got to do is believe in me. Pokemon. Woo! And with
It's the best ever.
With that, we open up Shredded Cels, episode 31. I am your host, Alex Schmitz, and with me here today is Matt Lunn.
Meow.
Andrew Gleason.
Hey.
And newly Christianed, properly named Clara Heimberger.
Someone's had it
Why
wrong.
not? Why not?
Yes,
Why?
Yes, turns out that that I've been calling her Clara for like the past 20 episodes, but her real name is actually Clara, but no one's ever corrected me.
No, it's
So.
really a different person, everyone.
I'm completely
See, that
different.
doesn't
You have a
sound
twin?
like Clara.
Nope.
You have a twin? Like,
Yeah.
This is Clara, not Clara.
oh. So.
Wait, this is Clara. Wait.
You got mixed up.
No! No, you mixed them up. No,
Who is she?
We'll
are
never
you?
know.
Who is
You'll
this
never
person?
know.
Woman of mystery over here on our podcast. All right. So, for those of you who are listening to us for the first time and are very confused right now, you'd be interested to hear that we are part of Tech Eds, which is part of AVW Productions, a media production organization here at Ohio University. We here at Tech Eds do all sorts of cool stuff with video games, movies, I was about to say video games twice.
We do that too.
We do podcasts.
We do lots of video game
we do,
stuff.
We do videos. We have an awesome blog. But here, we are here to talk about Shredded
Cels.
I'm not.
Anime.
You're bad at this,
we also talk
Alex.
about
I'm a
Shredded
little
Cels,
off
apparently.
today.
What
I
is
don't
like
know.
I think
what
it's
is a
because all of
Shredded
the
Cell?
depressing Star Wars.
Well, the whole
news.
idea is
What's depressing Star Wars news?
Lucas Arts has been
No.
shut down.
No, wait,
Lucas
what about...
Arts is shut down by
What about
Disney.
1313?
It's canceled.
No!
And first
Well,
of all,
I
it's
mean,
not happening.
it's
Or
their fate's
postponed,
not
at least.
completely decided yet.
It's
well, and
But-
to be
I don't
fair,
have any faith.
To be fair, they did.
It's Disney.
They didn't say like there would be no more Star Wars games coming out. They just said they'd be doing them out of studio and licensing them to other companies. So if that produces more games like Knights of the Old Republic, which was
Score.
done by BioWare,
or
that's
we're
good.
gonna get like EA Star Wars. Oh, you need a microtransaction for that. Oh, you need some more lasers.
We already have that. It's
Well-
called the Old Republic.
This chicken is so unfinished. EA tried to publish it.
And to answer your question, Andrew, the whole reason we called it Shredded Cels back in the day was because all of the podcasts, all of the Tech Eds podcasts have this sort of broken thing to them. We got broken controllers, shattered discs,
Oh, yeah.
all these different things. So we're trying to think of something that worked with animation, and we were thinking Shredded Cels is in a cell
of animation.
Which
Which they don't animate them on cells anymore. So
Oh, whatever.
It's a reference.
it's a reference.
Bits of trivia for y'all.
I would like to point out that who's listening, like, who skimmed down the Shredded Cels list and like, I'm going to listen to this one. It's Pokemon Heroes. Like, that's the first one they're going to pick.
Well, if they just start listening, like, let's listen to the most recent one. iTunes will download the
I do
most
that
recent one.
sometimes. I don't listen to many podcasts, but the ones I did, I listened to the most recent.
I don't listen to many podcasts, but when I do, I listen to Shredded Cels.
Listen,
Still need to listen to that Psychopath.
Oh yeah, because you actually finished it.
Oh, I did.
Alex is the worst person in the world.
I sent. We won't say any spoilers here because this isn't a Psychopath podcast. But I sent her a picture that detailed an important event from episode 21
Oh,
that you probably know what I'm talking about there.
yes.
It's a good piece of fan art, you have to admit.
It was beautiful, but no, you were the worst.
I don't understand. Is it like that one image from Gurren Lagann that my friend likes to show? It's like Kamina, Simone, and Nia all sitting on the couch, and Simone's got like a kid, and it's like, this is how it ended. I swear.
We wish it ended that way.
Yes.
It's something along those lines. Yeah.
No.
Because I know. Well, just your reaction.
Yes.
Did you like
Sad
the Psychopath?
thing. I love Psychopaths.
I need to finish that. too.
Like the
That's on
week,
my list.
the week after it came out, like I actually saw something on Tumblr. It was like, oh yeah, a new Psychopaths episode. Oh wait, it's over. And I was like, I want more.
Hey, they did say at the Sakura Con this past weekend, the director says if it gets enough hype, they will possibly do a second season. But that doesn't mean anything in the States. It doesn't matter how popular it is in the States. It's got to be popular in Japan.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So,
Psychopaths.
Yeah.
Is there room for a second season of it?
yeah, it could really
I
go a
mean,
lot of places with
Kogami
that.
is gone. We don't know what he's
Well,
doing.
He could come back.
Yeah. Actually, shoot, what was it? I saw something. It was about, quick little spoilers here for Psychopaths. In 22, the little girl who's like the new A.K.A.
Yeah.
She was in the show at one point. Like I forget, I don't remember what it was, but she was in like one of the episodes. Like she was either touring the facility or maybe she was one of the students. I think that was it. One of the students who got caught up in the riots. I think that might have been the case. So, I thought she was just some random girl, but if they actually brought her back, that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the image. I know we'll get off of this really soon, but the whole scene where it's the rainy, it's raining again, and it's just set up like the first episode. You gotta admit, the first this is not that podcast, but the first episode and the last episode, when the paddy wagon comes up and they all step out, it's just total.
Yeah, and
But the thing is, like, she's like, these are people, but Gina was like, these aren't humans.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, well, and I thought, you didn't get obviously to talk on the Psychopaths podcast because you didn't finish it yet, but you had to like it just from the fact that almost everything was 2D. The only thing is that were 3D were a couple of like the cars and the buildings.
The cars, buildings, and some of the weird droid things. Other than that, it was beautifully animated, and the opening credits. Both sequences were great.
Yeah,
Spooky boogie.
especially the second one.
Which I named my manor on my Minecraft server. On the
Aw,
Minecraft
man.
server that Mark and them have.
You named it Spooky Boogie.
Spooky Boogie Manor.
Oh,
That
okay.
was beautiful.
Because it's made out of nether.
Can you
Castle.
get like make little audio files and put them in Minecraft? I wonder, because if you could, we would definitely record Clara saying "Spooky Boogie," and you could like
Spooky boogie.
integrate that somehow into your Spooky Boogie manner, because that would be
You'd have to do
amazing.
some serious moddage, but
Yeah. Like, as you open the door and step on something,
Spooky
spooky boogie.
Oh,
That'd be
God.
awesome. All right. So this is not the Psychopaths podcast, however. We already
Yes,
did.
it is.
We did 3 of those, so go listen to them
No,
instead.
we have to do 4.
Well, if a season 2 ever does come out, we will definitely do it because I'd be interested in that. But before we get on to the animation we've watched since last week, I want to do a quick talk about some news. I was recently Googling some Korra season 2 news because I saw there was an interview with the voice actress for Asami.
Asami? You
Yeah.
said Korra before.
That was a whole Twitter thing. This was something I saw on IGN. They had a little video interview with her. She didn't really say anything prevalent about season 2, so I was a little disappointed there. But I was like, I wonder if anything interesting's happened.
Oh, yeah, I
so
saw
I
that.
Googled it and looked online, and there was at least one site I know of that's pretty much like just about Korra news. And apparently, there was this whole bit where the voice actress for Korra, whose name is April Stewart, said something on her Twitter about Korra coming back in April, and fans went like crazy about it because it's been so long since season 1 ended, and everyone wants book 2.
It was like June.
Right, but then she had this panel at MatsuriCon, and at it she pretty much said like, yeah, the Twitter thing was a mistake. I don't actually have any inside knowledge, and I can't talk about Korra season 2. So big letdown
so they
for
basically
everybody.
said, you can't do this anymore. Don't say things.
I guess so.
mean,
But
The guy who voices Bolin hinted about him having relationships.
yeah. Well, and
There's that one spoiler image.
yeah, well, that's not really a spoiler. One of the creators, they've posted 2 images from color correction sessions. One was like a month or 2 ago. It was just Korra standing in like the North Pole, I think. And then there was one that was released just like a week or 2 ago with Bolin talking with Eska, who's one of Korra's cousins. Yeah. So possible love interest there, maybe.
She's cute. I wouldn't mind.
Well, but you don't know anything about her personality.
She's cute. I wouldn't mind.
What?
Sharing your Bolin.
My Bolin.
Wait, what's the character that Clara hates? Oh yeah, what if it's
Mako.
or what if it's like from Anohana, taking a step back, your
Oh.
favorite character? What if she's like that?
Yukiatsu.
Yukiatsu.
Yukiatsu, yeah. What if she's like Yukiatsu?
She won't be.
Oh,
You're determined about that?
Yes.
Just denial. It's
Interesting.
working.
Don't mess with my ships.
But then just earlier today, I was looking at that same website, and there was a Twitter thing that the same April Stewart had said, and she basically said, I can't talk anything about book 2, but Korra fans should be looking forward to the month of April or something to that effect. So it does sort of suggest that
It's April right now.
I know. So maybe we'll be getting a trailer at some point this month, with an actual release date. People are sort of speculating either summer or fall, most likely, for the debut.
Bravest Warrior season 2 is in fall.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, I actually sort of hope it, because as I want it to happen as early as possible just so I can watch it, obviously. But at the same time, selfishly, I want it to happen in the fall, because if it started coming back right around the time we're getting back, we could do podcasts on it every week.
We could do podcasts of it when we go to the summer too, because then we'll have more to talk about for the first one.
Well, yeah, but what you weren't there last year when we were actually doing Korra week to week, sort of like we did for Psycho-Pass. So it's kind of cool to be able to do that and speculate and not know what's going to happen in the future.
Speculation.
Exactly. Being able to theorize and talk about what ships you want to have happen. You should know
All
that
the ships.
very well, shouldn't
All
you?
the ships.
Your armada.
My armada.
Yeah, the Spanish Armada of
Right
Clara's
here.
ships.
Right here. All over the place.
Also, something I noticed the other day, Avatar, the first season has been on iTunes for a while, but they just put up the entire thing into one bundle. So you can get each of the seasons for $20 each, or you can get the full series for $50. So
That's not
That's
bad for
much-
54 episodes. That's like $1
61.
each. Oh, there's 61 episodes, so that's like paying a little less than $1 for each of them.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
They're also on Netflix, so
That's a
you have
great
Netflix,
deal.
so-
Buy, bargain.
And
value.
Whoa, that's a low price.
Wow, that's a low price.
Yes,
They're
sponsored
on
by
clearance.
Korra. I wish.
I wish.
And
Flaming noodles.
and on the same website, there was a post by Mike DiMartino. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's one of the co-creators. He actually has a blog that I've started reading recently. It's mostly he talks about storytelling stuff, but he had one that was specifically related to Korra. It was talking about how originally they were pitching doing The Search, which is the comic book series for Avatar that's coming out right now that's detailing post Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Because they had the promise.
Right, there was the
And
promise.
Now there's
The search, which is done by the same people, and it's about Zuko looking for his mom.
Oh, man.
and
What? We may be reading this.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So yeah, and he said that by the end of the third book in that trilogy, you're gonna know definitively what happened to Zuko's mom. So that's where that story
That's
is
all we
being
want to
told.
know, though. That's everything. And she's not even a super mega huge character, but she's the one we want to know about because we don't know.
Well, they teased it in Core episode 1 too.
I know. I was so mad.
Secrets.
This is the only question they left unanswered in Avatar 1.
Yeah, well, I think Mike was even saying that it was his quote unquote fault because he didn't want to, I guess, devote the time it would take to wrap that up at the end of the last episode, and he sort of wanted there to be an openness to it, but he didn't expect the fan fever that it's created.
Or when you leave it with "Where is my mother?" and then cut to just being in somewhere else.
Am I the only one who ever read the book "Are You My Mother" when I was a little kid?
Oh yeah, with
Yeah.
the duck and it goes
Yes.
to eat the weird
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I imagine that with
remember
Zuko
Oh,
looking for his
man.
mom.
So he'll go to a freight train and say, "Are you my mother?" And it goes. "Rrrr."
runs him over. That'd be amazing.
Satobi mobile.
Yeah, so apparently but the thing where this correlates is that they were initially pitching.
I'm
But
done.
a
I'm done.
You're doing that in Kenny's place, being the pun master.
Yeah.
the pun masters.
God, you
But
and Kenny.
Mike and Brian pitched doing The Search as a animation, doing a movie of some sort, basically with it.
Love that.
And Nick wasn't so hot on that idea.
Shut up, Nick.
But it actually is a good thing because basically instead of doing The Search, they picked up Korra's season 2 and thusly season 3 and 4. So I'd
so they
rather.
were originally going to animate these books, or
I guess they were pitching this probably as Korra season 1 was getting done, but before season 2 was, bought by Nick, I assume.
But that's a good. At least what you can say from that is that maybe when all of Korra's done, those books might eventually.
But it'll be so out of date by then. They'll be years from now. The Search is the first book in The Search just came out now when it's a 3 comic book series. So I don't think I doubt it will get made into an animation. But the fact that we're getting 3 more seasons of Korra, I far more value that than just a single movie.
I want to know what happens in the 3 seasons.
Well, of course you do, but
I mean, like with Avatar, we assume, each season is going to be him learning a different element. With Korra, we don't know.
No, it's very open.
Because it's so just like, she has all the elements. She kind of sort of mastered her spirit world thing, but not really.
well, that's what season 2 is about.
Right, but I mean, like, what after that?
Right. Well, what's interesting is obviously I got to assume the original Avatar was made like knowing that they were going to have more than 1 season, because it's nowhere near getting done by the end of season 1. Whereas Korra was at first thought to just be a 12-episode miniseries, so they made the story like that. Now that they've got 3 more seasons worth of stuff.
It'll probably be like they did with Avatar, where they can do a cliffhanger ending because they know, we got the next season.
There's that, or just establishing sort of series conflict. Like I imagine in season 2, maybe either it's pretty focused on, or it's at least like maybe revealed at the very end, like that there's some bigger threat, that's going to carry us over to seasons 3 and 4.
What do we get to see the panda spirit again? I
Yeah.
love the panda spirit.
I think we talked about that on the Korra podcast way back earlier in the semester.
Oh my god. What was his name? It was like, started with a K. It was
Ko?
like Ko, yeah, that guy. Oh, he creeped me out.
Oh, the face stealer.
Oh, no.
Yes, he was
Someone drew a
creepy.
fan art that it stole Bolin's face, and I was like, not cool.
Not Bolin. No.
Not cool. Not
offended
cool at
you.
all. Not cool.
Yeah, and then something I found interesting. This is old news for the Korra fans out there, but I didn't know about it. One of the creators confirmed that at some point in Korra, whether it's in seasons 2, 3, or 4, who knows, we will see a subset of airbending, sort of like how you've got metal bending and lightning and blood bending. For the other 3, there's some subsets of airbending that they're going to do, and we're going to learn who Lynn's dad is.
Oh, good.
So, there's another question.
I want it to be
fans are-
someone we've never heard of. Just be like, oh yeah, Toph just
Cabbage
found
guy.
some random.
No.
No,
I hope
Cabbage
not.
Corp guy. I want it to either be Sokka or someone we already know.
I'm just glad Cabbage
like
Corp-
long.
It
I wouldn't even care if it's long shot. I really wouldn't even care.
Be Sokka.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because he's with Suki.
Well, who says Suki's still around?
Oh my!
Do
There
you
was
know-
no romance implied
So,
between
wait.
Toph and Sokka.
There totally was. She
No.
had such a crush on him.
No, there was, because
Yeah.
remember that episode where she falls in the water and she thinks Sokka's going to rescue him, but then Suki ends up doing it, and Suki grabs her and pulls her up, and she's like, "Oh, Sokka, thank you for rescuing me." And
And then
it's
she
like,
kisses her
actually-
cheek.
Yeah, it's
And
like,
she's like, I'm Suki. And she's like, oh, you can let me drown now.
I remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay,
yeah.
fine,
So
fair enough.
there was a little bit of it,
Yeah.
but there's no way it's gonna be Sokka. And like, that would be interesting though. Imagine the fan outrage from all the Suki, Sokka fans if it just turned
I
out
was
they didn't
never
get
a
together.
huge fan of Suki though. Like the first time I met her, I'm like, yeah, she's pretty cool. And then she helps out a bit, and I'm just like,
I don't
yeah.
know. I kind of like her though. She's capable.
I mean, yeah, she's really strong. She can hold her own, and she lived in that prison for X amount of days. And I'm just like, yeah, you're cool. I don't know. She just never clicked with me.
Well, so did you support Sokka, and what was the girl that became the moon?
I mean, even then, it was
Yui?
it was
Yeah, that's
cute. It was cute, and the whole fact that like she was like almost like untouchable, but then she still liked him, and I was like, oh, that's cute.
And then she became the moon.
Yeah, they became the moon.
I do remember a bit where I thought Suki was pretty cool. It's during the prison episode where they're like wondering what they're going to do during the prison riot, and Suki goes and like climbs up the wall and takes the warden hostage.
Yeah.
I think Sokka's dad says like, "That's some girl," and he's like, "She sure is," or something
Yeah.
like that. It's like, oh, that's kind of cute.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, that's cute.
So you got that for Korra season 2. And one question I had for you guys is just, as Korra fans, do you think Nickelodeon has handled season 2 rather poorly, just because like it's been so many months since book 1 ended, and we haven't like, except for these little tidbits of information, but more released by the creators than by Nick
8
themselves.
months.
Yeah, we really don't know anything new.
I'm
So
angry about this.
I don't know.
Rage.
This kills the man.
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like Nick could. I mean, I feel like Nick should have decided quicker whether or not they were going to give Korra season 2 or not, so that they could have like done something with the ending of Korra.
The problem with that though is animation is really like those episodes were done long before
I know.
and planned.
And everything is pretty much like technically rotoscoped, but I mean like all the fighting scenes are all like what's the word? Choreographed.
Oh,
Choreographed.
Like they're all choreographed. Like all the Zappy guys.
Equalist?
Yeah, those guys. When that was completely choreographed, and so to just redo that is a lot of work.
No, I meant like the very, very end.
Oh,
Where,
yeah, they
you know,
could have
with the
cut
Deus Ex
out-
Machina.
Well, and
They could have cut out the mock.
to be fair, season
that's the
2
one.
of Korra is actually longer because first season was 12. This is going to be 14. So actually, I have 2 more episodes to do. And it's one of those things with any media or any show or TV show or movie or whatever it is. Things that are quality take time to make. That's like why a lot of Nintendo's games take 5 years before they come out. So if I have to wait a few extra months for them to make it the best it can be, so be it. It'll suck.
It better be.
What I want is like I don't mind that it's going to take a while, but I would like to get give me little breadcrumbs to ease me in, either a release date or a trailer or like images or
Like
something.
what Pokemon X and Y is doing.
Something like
Oh yeah, that Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday.
like say that like it's like that we are aiming for like the fall, or like give us a season at least. Oh, I'm sorry. Give us like a season, like at the least, right? I mean, like a season of the year, like
like
summer,
quarter.
fall,
Right.
winter.
Clara, what
coming.
exactly is Nintendo doing for X and Y? I hadn't really heard.
All right, so we've been almost like pretty, I wouldn't say constantly because it's not constantly, but we've been getting snippets. We've gotten like 2 trailers, a legendary Pokemon, all 3 starters, and a new evolution. And this Saturday, we're getting more news, and we don't know what it is, but they're like, hey guys, news on Saturday. And we're all like, oh, yay. So either we can learn something completely new, and we can see the evolutions of the starters. We could understand a little bit more about the plot. I mean, I don't know what it is, but since it is coming out worldwide in October, like, I'm just so pumped. And they've been like sending out things and
Which
updating.
means the game's pretty much done. It's just not necessarily,
It's
but
probably like translating.
it's
and-
getting the translations and everything ready.
Yeah. That reminds me of once again bringing up Nintendo, because I'm a big Nintendo fanboy. They've been doing these. I forget the name that they use for them, but basically they're these little videos they've been putting out. Where it's just their own little video where it's like Satoru Iwata there, announcing all these things, for the Wii U or the 3DS, and they just throw them on people like, there'll be a Nintendo, announcement in 3 days. And they wait, and then 3 days later, boom. And sometimes it's really minor things. And then there was that one a few months ago where they announced all those Wii U games, like Wind Waker HD and all these big bombshells. And they had more news coming out of that little video than they had at like their past 2 E3 press conferences, So I think it's a great way of them to like to just deliver information directly to the fans. Yep. And one other quick thing on Korra Season 2, I was finding... this was something actually from Comic-Con 2012, so this is like really old. I had never seen it, but because I knew that Korra Season 2 is going to focus on the spirit world. This goes a bit more specific into it. It says Korra's guide in this new realm will be in part her uncle. The season will delve into uncle and father's relationship and film some backstory on their connections as well as those between the northern and southern water tribes. We'll also see a journey, quote, journey to a mysterious place, unquote, according to the show's producers. And Korra's cousins are also new characters, a pair of androgynous, creepy twins, according to the writers. Ooh. So
I love it.
there you go. So I guess we're getting more of Korra's family, like more stuff in the North Pole.
I'm your grandma.
You think more Katara?
I love Katara.
Well, and I know we're getting more of like Kaya and Boomy as well.
Oh
the
man, I
other
can't
kids.
wait. I can't wait for Boomy.
What I really want to see, I want to see Zuko.
Oh yeah,
I want to see his daughter.
Yeah, I want to.
Fire Lord, hell yeah.
Yeah, because I think Zuko's still alive.
Oh yeah, he's still alive. He and Katara are the only ones.
Yeah, so seeing him again would be really cool.
I think the saddest thing I've ever heard in Korra is my brother has long passed, and I'm like, oh,
Right.
Sokka.
Sokka.
That was even like sadder than Aang for me because we knew that was gonna happen because Korra's here.
Right.
But it's like Sokka is dead. I'm like, no, no. I wanted to see him as a really sassy grandpa.
Well, she says like
Boomerang.
she says, like my brother and a bunch of my friends are dead. So you got to
Right.
assume maybe others like Suki and Toph and everyone
Well,
else
yeah.
are dead too, probably.
Well, I mean, like it just Sokka hurt the most. I feel.
Well, you think about it, like what they were all around in their early teens, and that's 70 years later, so they'd all be in their 80s. You
yeah,
know,
but still,
so
Tara's a healer. She could have done something.
eternal youth.
Eternal youth.
Yeah, well, she healed death at the end of season 2, pretty much. So
Special water.
yeah, I know, but still,
Special North Pole water.
North Pole water, spirit water.
I just keep thinking, what if she had accidentally used that on Zuko's face?
Well, she
What
would've-
if?
Well, she would have accidentally done it. She would have
Well, I
done it
mean,
on
like,
purpose.
I know, but I mean, like, at the same time, it's like, then Aang would have died for
Well,
serious.
would've been pretty.
but if she had done that to his face, maybe that would have been enough to push him over the edge to not be with Azula, and then
We'll never know.
yeah, that's
no,
the
we
alternate
won't.
reality.
Well, then even then, I think everything's going to be pretty much screwed because then the Fire Lord has no one to oppose him, and he's still going to take over the world.
Well, but I'm saying, let's say Katara heals Zuko's scar. Zuko joins with Aang and the gang instead of Azula, there in that final battle at the end of season 2. Then Azula probably doesn't lightning him in the back.
I see where you're going with this.
Exactly.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yes, time travel. That will be plotline Korra 2.
Oh,
In
yeah.
Korra, they'll go back in time and change
I am
that.
excited for more flashbacks. I want to see slightly older Katara.
What
Slightly older.
I would like to see Katara.
Years.
I also want to see because the flashbacks we saw in the first season were them when they're already pretty old, like in their 40s. I want to see like early 20s Aang.
Oh, man.
Like back when they're still young. What?
What are you
Just
snickering?
20-year-old Aang.
Well, we already sort of know what he looks like because he's the airbender in the opening of Korra, and
Yeah.
there he looks taller and
Has a
older.
beard.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Is he?
I'd have to watch it. He looks more like the statue Aang in
Yeah.
that one, which is basically Aang but older and still bald and no beard.
I wonder when he got his beard.
The eternal questions of Korra, will they ever be answered?
When did Aang get his beard?
Indeed. Okay, so enough
Is
of the
it
Korra
Pokemon
discussion.
time?
I think it's Pokemon.
It's Hamtaro time.
God.
Oh, it's not Hamtaro time?
No, not Hamtaro time.
Oh, darn. Wrong podcast then.
So, in case you couldn't tell by the title, we're going to be talking about the film Pokemon Heroes, which is one Clara has been pushing for a while. Is this your favorite Pokemon movie?
It's in the top 3.
What's the top 3 then?
Pokemon Heroes, Pokemon Forever, the one with Celebi.
Really?
I love
Yeah.
Celebi. And then Pokemon the first movie.
Not Pokemon 2000?
I
I
mean,
Entei?
Pokemon the first movie. No, Entei creeped me out. The Unknowns creeped me out too. The first movie, I got my shiny holographic Mew card, and that was like a moment of my childhood that I'll remember forever. But then my dog ate it, and I was so mad. You don't even understand. He ate all of my shiny things.
I could just
He
imagine.
ate my Celebi. He ate my Suicune toy. I was so mad. I was so mad.
I could just imagine like 10-year-old Clara coming home and finding that the dog like ate her cards and like throttling it. Like, what did you do?
you know, the best part, my mom was like, "Oh, I pulled this out of Pete's mouth," and I was like, "You don't understand what you've just said. You don't even know."
So was that a worse reaction than the Psychopath picture even?
No,
Oh no.
no, that was mean.
Man, I wish I'd been there then. Like, been able to teleport to you when you got the text.
I would have punched you in the nose.
Punch. Falcon punch.
Okay, but yes, Pokemon Heroes. I didn't look up the info. I think this was 2002 in Japan
Nope,
at the very
dude,
least.
Yeah.
Aha, I was right. My intuition was on. So I think of it as one of the sort of the quote unquote later Pokemon movies, but really it's pretty ancient at this point, 11 years old. Which means like Pokemon 2000 and all the other ones we've watched, they're even older, which makes me feel old.
Old.
Oh yeah. I
Pokemon's
reckon.
almost 20, guys.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The last one I remember seeing was either the Jirachi one or the Deoxys one. Those were the two most
I
recent.
love that one.
I
Okay,
like the-
that's another top 4, the Deoxys one.
Oh, yeah, that's the one with the
Deoxys
weird
one.
blocks thing. I watched that one.
Rayquaza?
I watched
Yeah.
that so many
That's
times
the
in a
sequel
row.
to the film we just watched. Oh, it's the next one.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
So Jirachi must be after Deoxys then.
I think
Yes.
so.
I see.
I thought
No, see,
Celebi was after.
No.
No,
Celebi
Celebi was before this one.
so is Pokemon Heroes the 5th one in the series then?
Maybe.
Because Celebi was definitely 4.
And we got to see little Professor Oak.
Yeah, see,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
I didn't really like the Celebi movie, but that was actually kind of a cool twist.
I loved it, and no one knew. No one, well, Professor Oak knew.
Right. Well,
But-
you'd presume, yes.
I feel like he's known the whole time, but he just doesn't say anything.
Oh, he of course knows
because
they've had them.
I think it was Tracy found those pictures, and it's like, wow, you've had this the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just? What if he was the one who rigged Ash's alarm clock to wake up, like to wake
Late.
him up late, so he could give him the Pikachu
It's all a plot.
specifically? It's all Professor Oak.
It's all Professor
And
Oak.
that's
It's
how
always
he
been
knows when
Professor
you're
Oak.
trying to use your bike inside buildings.
But-
He knows.
But how is
He's
he
a time traveler.
How is he so stupid though that he doesn't know whether you're a boy or a girl?
He's just asking, you know. Some people,
He's polite.
he's just really polite. He's just really polite.
Some people dress ambiguously. It's weird.
Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe he can't tell.
But back to the Pokemon movie. The point I was basically making was like, you know, the Jirachi one I guess is the most recent. That's the last one I remember watching. Even
No,
that one.
there are a couple more after that.
Well, no, I know. I'm
That's
saying
the last one
that,
Alex
that was the
saw.
last
Oh,
one I saw.
misunderstood.
But then since then, there's been like at least 6, maybe more. You know, and a lot of them are dealing with like the new Pokemon, like Arceus, and you know all these other things.
Dialga,
There was a
Palkia,
Lucario one.
Yeah,
Lucario.
that one's actually supposed to be pretty good.
That one got me a little upset at the end, just a little bit,
just a little bit.
just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I will say, you know, I haven't seen any of those the later Pokemon movies. They do seem kind of cool just for the action sense. You know, seeing all
They're
these.
up to movie 13.
Wow.
Oh, 16.
There is
Whoa.
the new one coming out. I am so excited for.
That's right. It actually has Mewtwo in it again.
And Charizard.
Oh.
Charizard.
What was?
Oh yeah,
what's the
Pokemon
new
Heroes is
generation one?
considered part of the original.
What do you mean
group.
the original?
Your first 5 Pokemon films, which were the Pokemon the first movie, the 2000, the
Third one,
Entei one.
Entei one.
the Spell of the Unknown, Pokemon Forever, the Celebi one, and then Pokemon Heroes, Latias and Latios.
Love it.
Interesting. Yeah, because yeah, I just know that in some of those later ones, you know, it's just basically let's watch these legendaries fight these legendaries.
Pretty much. It's like space versus time, and then Giratina shows up and ruins everything. And
Pretty
Yeah.
much the next 7 or 8 films.
What's the one that's coming out this year? It should be at the bottom.
In Japan?
Yeah.
The one that's coming into Japan is called Extreme Speed, The Reawakening of Mewtwo, and there's a lot of rumor right now, and I actually have it pulled up. A new Mewtwo form or evolution image is going
What?
to be coming out.
what?
Like a Mewtwo evolution. Like he evolved.
Yeah, but Mew and
What?
Mewtwo aren't even evolutions. They're
Nope.
they're clones.
Everyone always
Yeah.
always mistakes.
Is there
that.
going to be a Mew 3?
That's
No.
basically the point. The point is, there's a new sort of Mewtwo. It's
Mewtwo
been
squared.
circling on the interwebs.
I'm excited
That's
though
the
because
rumor.
it's gonna show because this is like the 3rd time Ash has run into Mewtwo, and I think every single time Mewtwo wipes it from his memory, just for reasons I don't
No,
know.
the second time he didn't.
The second time he didn't. So this time we're actually gonna have Ash be like,
Right.
"Oh my God, Mewtwo, my homeboy," and yeah,
I hope he calls him his homeboy.
totally. But
Yes.
the whole fact that he's there to aid Ash, who had saved him from Giovanni, which in that movie they have baby Nidoqueen, and I don't understand that at all. But because I mean you have to get your Nidoran female to at least level 24 to evolve it into is it 18? I think it's 18. 18 to evolve it into a Nidorina, and then a Moonstone to evolve it into Nidoqueen. So there's no way there can be a baby Nidoqueen.
Clara's calling out the Pokemon anime over here.
Yeah, get it together.
There you go. What were you going to say,
Good,
Andrew?
yeah.
I was gonna say, what? Where does Mewtwo Strikes Back? Like, where does that fall in this? Like, what number was that? Because I remember that, but I remember that coming
like
out before
6.
Celebi.
Look it up real quick,
I
Matt.
thought-
where's the second Mewtwo movie
I
fall
thought that
in?
felt
in
because
the
I thought I remember
timeline?
watching that before Celebi
What's it
even came
called?
out.
Mewtwo Strikes Back?
Yeah.
Because I remember reading the book of it when I was on
There's no
vacation,
title with like that.
and I was like 8.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's not
like,
an official movie.
Don't you
then.
remember?
Mewtwo Strikes Back is the first film.
Yeah. Well, I
Is
think
it Mewtwo Returns?
yeah, it's not on that list you're looking at, but there is a movie called Mewtwo Returns. I think maybe it's like considered to be an OVA rather than a film. I don't know.
But I remember it had Giovanni, and he was like, "I'm back." And Mewtwo's like, "I hate you so much."
hate
And
you so
then-
much.
Yeah, I just remember
Yeah.
not being like impressed with that movie, but I remember watching it.
Yeah, there it is. Mewtwo. Pokemon Mewtwo Returns is what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't officially a movie, so to say. Well, it's 75 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what
Oh, it
confused
was
me.
a
Longer
direct-
than this movie, Pokemon Heroes.
Yeah.
Is the direct follow-up to the first movie.
Yep, there you go. The problem with that movie, though, is that
But that's Pokemon 2000.
no.
No, it's this one.
That's what this is saying.
Well, Pokemon 2000 was the next one to come out. When did the Mewtwo Returns come out? What was the year? You were just looking at it.
That came out in 2001.
Oh, well, but Pokemon 2000 obviously came out in 2000. So maybe Mewtwo Returns was like the fourth movie, but then they called Celebi like the fourth real movie because it was actually in theaters or something.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
that's the
know.
only
I
thing
don't
that
think it was in
confused me.
theaters. That's the thing.
I don't remember. I remember Entei being in theaters, and then I don't remember them.
But
ever
I saw
releasing-
somebody saying that this Pokemon Heroes they saw in theaters. So
Really?
yeah, well, I agree with you. I only remember the first three being in theaters, but
Same.
maybe they got limited releases. You
It's
know,
possible. I feel like I would have gone to as I got older. I would have
It's a direct follow-up to the first Pokemon movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not considered one of the movies. It's just a follow-up to the first
okay.
movie.
Oh,
So
so it's
that's how
like
they-
It will
side
still be
story?
a movie in my heart.
Yes. The problem with that movie, though,
I
is
still
that
believe that's movie,
Mewtwo seems vastly less powerful in that movie than he did in the first. Because in the first,
He
he was
doesn't
like,
have hate fueling him.
but in the first, he was like, he had the power to destroy the world, like literally. And then in this one, he gets taken out by Team Rocket pretty easily.
He's trying to protect his friends.
Well, so use your almighty psychic
What
powers.
friends? He doesn't have friends.
He has all those Pokemon.
Yeah,
That he
remember
made. He put them in a sanctuary.
I was suppressing those memories.
what? So you don't like how he turns good at the end?
You'd
I just
rather
don't.
him
No, I
be
just don't
evil.
remember the end of the first movie very well.
Ash
because
turns to
most-
stone. Pokemon tears save everything.
Yeah, it was that. I just suppressed that whole thing. In my heart, Mewtwo will always be like the supreme evil of the Pokemon universe.
That's Clara with her cup, by the way, in case you're
Sorry.
curious. You and your stupid
I'm
eyes.
dehydrated.
But I do think we should do the first movie eventually on this because I remember it fondly. Although I know if I watch that final moment, I'm gonna, puke
Yell.
from the
Yeah.
horrible Deus Ex
This-
Machina of it.
Oh crap! This is stupid.
But
I have the soundtrack.
that's true. The first movie actually had a pretty cool soundtrack. But we're moving away from other
If
Pokemon
only
movies now.
To focus in on the
bring
Pokemon
you
heroes.
back to
Exactly.
me.
Yeah, as I was mentioning earlier, it said that Mewtwo Returns movie was 75 minutes. This movie, I looked it up, is only 70. So it is. I think it is like the single shortest of all the Pokemon movies, which I definitely felt a little short to me because it's like the progression of things. We got the little race. We got a little action with what are they called? The villains. Clara, remind me.
Annie Nogley.
Annie and Oakley, thank you. We got a little interaction with them. Then they go to the museum. Then Ash runs off, chases the Latias girl back to the
Bianca.
to the secret
Then Bianca.
garden
and
place.
Then Latias.
And then they have their whole interaction there. Then they go back to their hotel room, and then like stuff starts happening, and they all go out and do the city thing, and then that ends, and the tidal wave comes, and blah 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 blah. Movie's over.
Wow, you're just summing up the whole film.
I know.
Well, we can go in now.
Well, good job.
Sorry, I
Good
guess
podcast team.
my only point is it
It's
felt
very
short.
It is very short.
It is short, and it felt short.
They could have drawn out a lot of things, but I mean,
I
at
like
the same
this-
time, I like this.
Well,
it's
It was
fast
hey, it's
paced.
beautiful. That's my thing. That was what I remembered so much. It's just the
I love that song so much.
Well, see, that was my
was
problem
nice.
is because even though the movie felt short, at the same time, all the chase sequences in the movie felt like they were drawn out and
Yeah.
going on for
See,
a while.
Clara and I have nostalgia working on this one.
Yeah.
I was kind of old when Heroes came when I saw Heroes, so
I wasn't old, but it's been so long.
See,
I got nostalgia
I
still
got
on-
into third gen, and since those were the Pokemon,
Same.
Oh, I
that's
love
when I
third
got
gen.
into Pokemon.
Oh no, third gen's
I
my
have
favorite.
crystal version
but
on my computer now, and I'm freaking out.
Nice.
yeah, no, third
So-
gen's my favorite, so I
yeah,
respect
well,
that.
oh sweet. Okay, you need a fist bump. to third gen. There's so many people who hate third gen, and I'm a third gen.
How
kinda
dare
guy.
they?
Third gen was the last one
It was beautiful.
I actually knew.
Yeah.
Fourth and fifth.
I was a boss at
beyond.
contests.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch up right now. I'm playing through Platinum right now to
Woo.
catch up through 4. So
Yeah, I'm just gonna go into X and Y, not knowing anything
6th
since
gen.
3. I'm missing 3 Well, obviously it's a new gen,
generations.
so 2. So it's gonna feel like the first time I played Pokemon, where I don't know.
Any
It's,
of them.
welcome to the Pokemon world. You know nothing, but here,
take a Pokemon.
go on your
Choose one of
Pokemon
these.
adventure.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Yes.
Yes.
But like the 3rd gen was just so nostalgic, and the whole fact that Latios, when I caught it in Ruby, it was my baby. So I instantly bonded with Latios in this film. And then the ending,
The ending.
it hit me like a truck.
See, my problem with this movie, though, like comparing it to Pokemon 2000, the other film we've done for this, the podcast. Pokemon 2000 had a good number of like fight scenes and action scenes in it, which are all like beautifully animated and stuff. That was a point that Mark made when we were watching it. Is
Yeah.
that you watch Pokemon movies because they're fun, and you like seeing the big fights and the funny jokes and da 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 da. Whereas
Drawing pan.
frying pan into a drawing pan. That's actually from Mewtwo Returns. So
Yeah.
there you go. One of the best lines in not a movie, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But the problem with this movie is that there really isn't much action. Like the only action is the fighting that they have with the Kabuto and the what is it?
Tops and
Kabutops. What's the other
Aerodactyl.
one? Aerodactyl, right? They're near the end, and there's a little bit of it in the last moments of the film, but even that is pretty minimal compared to the other Pokemon movies. And what it tries to do instead, I can appreciate in theory because it tries to. That ice is really loud.
I'm sorry.
Gee, Clara, this isn't about ice Pokemon.
water
What was
Pokemon.
I saying? Oh, this. Thank you. This movie, is trying to work on emotion, and like build up this relationship between Ash and Latios, and make you care about Latios and all that, which obviously works for Clara over here.
But that's because you played the game and you got the relationship from the game
Get my
that
name
carried over
right.
to the movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it right from now on. It's gonna be
Okay.
good. But I would agree with that, though. It seems like you had a connection before even coming into this movie
yeah.
with those Pokemon.
Oh,
so.
yeah. I always wanted Latios, but Latios has been my baby.
Yeah. And see, my problem with it is it's not a bad idea in theory, like I said, but you have two things going against it. Number one, it's a love relationship between Ash and a Pokemon, which is
Not
already.
specifically, no.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, I think it's more of like, it's not specifically like love as in like, get married, have babies love.
I
It's
hope not.
like, you are precious to me and I care about you love.
No, I always
like
thought it
how
was-
Latios was to Latias. They were
It's kind
siblings.
of like how you have sibling love. That's
Yeah.
different from I want to date you and
And the thing is,
have
like,
babies with
Latias
you.
is like, despite being like as old as the city, they are pretty much still babies. Like, she is definitely very young. She cannot fight. She's always relied on Latios. Latios obviously knows what he's doing. And he's always probably been protecting her ever since they were babbies.
Babbies.
And,
Well, but if they're supposed to be as old as the city, like how long does it take for these things to grow up?
well, I mean, like, they're legendary Pokemon. They don't follow any rules.
I guess not.
I mean, like, they
follow
cloned
your
Mew
rules.
based on, like, the tiny little fragment of DNA that they found. So, I mean, like, Pokemon don't abide by any rules ever.
Well, that's science. That's the science of Pokemon world, not the Pokemon themselves.
All right. I mean, like, they made Porygon. I mean, why are we even questioning this?
That's true.
mean,
I shouldn't be
it's
trying to
true.
bring logic into
This
Pokemon.
is true. Lugia lives in the ocean. It's no water type.
Yeah, and that, like, whole current thing. Do we need Jeremy to go in here and, like, criticize
the
that?
underground currents.
Oh yes.
But, like, it's not so much a romance. It's more of, like, I am fond of you, and I consider you a precious person.
Okay. Fine. I'll
So,
I'll concede that point to you. But the second point, you'll have to work harder to sway me on because the main problem with the movie is that it tries to build this, make the relationship like the focal point instead of the fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
The problem is they only have really one scene together to really build that, which is the whole little chase, and then they have their whole bit in the little garden area, and that's
Right.
it. Like
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it's not a very long movie, first of
Well-
all. But I mean, they could have done a lot more. But I mean, like, those who I feel go to see Pokemon movies have either played the games or know the Pokemon. So it's like they already understand what they are.
We all live in a Pokemon world. It's like
Yeah.
the song says, not the one we sung today, but we
other
all
one.
live
Like, I'm just like, I don't know, like, the moments that they have together, and, like, it is a little bit of a montage, and Ash finds out about who they are, and it's, like, this whole secret. And I'm assuming, like, even though we don't see it, he spends the entire day there. So, like, I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit about, she trusts him, and then they have their whole riding on boats and stuff. And she saves his life from the water thing that Oakley goes nuts and creates. And, like, I don't know, like, he protects her, she protects him.
Right.
And
yeah, but at least for me though, that like, that's stuff that's happening, like in the later part of the movie,
right.
And that's where they're trying to make you feel for, like, oh no, Latias and Ash are gonna drown. Oh no,
Right.
And the only thing we have, once again, like I said, the only thing we have building up that relationship and your attachment to these Pokemon is that little, garden sequence, basically. So basically, I guess what I'm saying is that either they needed to find a better way of doing it in a short amount of time, or they needed to make it longer. Because as it is, it feels too... things are moving too quickly for me to actually care.
maybe it's like, well, I mean, like I said earlier, Latias is, like, technically, like, the baby. So, like, picture her as a small child. And then she sees this older person who she admires and is, like, really attached to. And so you're like, oh, ain't that cute? And then you see her playing with him and just being all adorable. And I don't know. It's like that kind of relationship where it's like, oh, this is adorable. I feel for this.
I know you have a problem with Annie and Oakley, but here's something that should be mentioned. It's only in the English version that they are part of Team Rocket. They're not part of Team Rocket in the original Japanese version.
That's not the problem I have with Annie and Oakley. The problem I have with them is they're just not... Their plan doesn't seem, well, I won't say it's not well thought out, but it just doesn't seem that, like...
They have no character
devious.
They're
motivation.
overconfident.
What's even funnier is, I guess, apparently in the English theatrical version, that whole beginning where they talk about the legend of those two ancient Pokemon that they revive right there and then, that's completely cut out in the original, like, in the theatrical versions.
I saw that on Wikipedia. Also, it said that apparently, I think Latios' voice is the Japanese voice, but Latias is a new English voice.
Yep.
Just a little bit of trivia there for you.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I will admit, it's not like I'm a complete heartless bastard over here.
Rotten Tomatoes they gave the film a 16%.
Well, they can go away. They can go do things I can't say on this podcast.
I do get some. You do get some attachment between Latias and Ash, and like when they're in danger, you're like, oh no, or when Latios and Latios go and stop the tidal wave and Latios fades away and all that. You
don't know how much it traumatized my childhood.
Exactly. It's not like I'm not feeling anything. Because it is kind of cool that they actually like go that far to actually kill a Pokemon, which they don't do in a lot of the movies. They fake you out with it.
He totally dies, and it's so bad because he doesn't come back. Well, and all you have is this soul dew.
You got the soul dew thing.
Yeah, but it's not Latios, and now Latias is all alone. And,
which makes a good point. So, essentially what they're holding there is the soul gem of Latios. Mm-hmm. Isn't that slightly creepy?
A little bit, but at the same time, it's like he's still there kind of sort of protecting it. It's like if someone in your family dies and you keep an heirloom of them. Except for it doesn't have their soul embedded in it.
It's not a Horcrux.
Well, this way Latios sort of like still is able to protect everyone, but just his whole body isn't there.
I see. Were there any incubators involved in the making of that soul gem?
No. We're not going to talk about Madoka right now.
But I want to talk about Madoka.
No. Oh, speaking of like Sokka and Yui turning into the moon, there's a picture of that, and it's like, my girlfriend became the moon, and then it was a Homura, it's like, my girlfriend became a concept, and I was like, she wins.
Yeah, my girlfriend became a god, so there.
So there.
Hooray.
Yes. I guess moving on to, real quick before we move away from this whole emotion discussion, as far as did the movie work or not. Clara and I have obviously given our points. Matt, Andrew, what are your guys' thoughts?
The film is so pretty.
I'm not asking about if the film is pretty. I'm asking about the relationship between Latias and Mash.
Ooh,
it looks beautiful on screen.
Oh, God.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay. All I've got is, I agree with you. I feel like there should have been more either development and made the movie longer to develop that relationship further, since so much of the movie hinged on it. or do it differently, because that extendedly long scene that you think that Matt thinks is pretty, but
You're talking about the chase scenes.
yeah, the chase scene.
I love the chase scene.
It's pretty,
did I.
but it doesn't really develop their relationship. They're just chasing for like an extendedly long period of time.
The problem I have with it is
there's different chase scenes.
There's two chase scenes pretty close together, because there's the one where Annie and Oakley are chasing after Ash and Latias, and that goes on for a while, and then we got a little bit of a break, and then we go to Ash chasing Latias. So probably a good 5 minutes of this movie is just chase scenes.
Chase scenes.
In a movie that's only 70 minutes long, that's a pretty significant percentage. And the part that annoyed me was just how they kept on I know we talked about this, that 3D shot where they're moving through the alleyways, which once again, like you said, it looks pretty. It's not like a visual problem I have with it.
For 3D animation at the time, it was beautiful. The point is, the animation when you get towards the weird machine thing that's in the museum or whatever, that just looks bad. But the point is, everything else up until that point, as far as going through the alleys in the 3D, it looks good.
No.
I know Mark and Jeremy had a problem with it. It's seizure inducing. No, it's not.
I'm not saying it's visually bad, but I agree with Andrew in that it just goes on way too long. They keep on going through these shots, and it's just those shots don't have anything in them other than that. So it's just why are we doing
I'll admit,
this?
I would say
technology.
2000s maybe a little better than I will admit this does have some pacing issues, but again, when I see this film, and when I watched it a long time ago, I just enjoyed it because it's these are my Pokemon in my game, and
Pokemon in my
But there
game.
weren't that many Pokemon in the movie. Ash only uses, other than Pikachu, which
Totodile.
Yeah, I know,
He
but-
only uses Totodile, and he's the only
Yeah,
one
I
that's
know.
in
I'm
the
talking about
it's
the two legendaries though, because when you play, it's kind of like with Clara when she had the attachment when she caught her. It's
Clara.
Clara. I blame Alex for all of everything.
It's not all my fault.
It
With
is
the
everything.
whole thing though, with the lack of battling, if you think about it, there is not a lot of space. This is not a battling town like in the Mewtwo one. That was pretty much an arena for battling. There was nothing else you were gonna do there besides battle.
Right.
Or
He kept waiting for the distorted space in the city where there was just this clear, wide opening for battle.
right, there is it's all just winding streets and canals.
But-
It's not a very battle.
But you see
city.
later when they're fighting the Kabutops and the Aerodactyl, that's a cool little fight sequence.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to be there. They're just utilizing the space that they have in these narrow little pathways.
But that could have made for a fun fight scene.
And he destroyed 4 boats.
I know, but
Those poor boats.
Or if you're,
Poor boats.
or they obviously alleyways and moving paths and stuff make for good chase scenes, and this movie obviously did that. But these chase scenes were pretty just we see shots of Ash and the girl running away, and then Annie and Oakley are chasing, and it's just like that. It's very
They're too good for chasing. Their Pokemon were chasing.
right. I guess it would have been cool if it was a chase. Chase / fight, I'm imagining people, jumping from rooftop to rooftop and going through the alleyways and they're shooting little beams at each other as they go, something like that. Give your chase scenes some excitement, and this, they're just so bland. I don't know.
Remember, they're not aiming for audiences our age.
I know.
So
You got to think about the kids. Think about the children.
Well, but just because a movie is aimed at a children audience doesn't mean you have to talk down to them or make the movie
I know.
bad.
But even think about it like this: really old horror movies were terrifying when they came out, and we look at them and are like, "This is silly." So it's if people, when horror movies first came out, saw what we have now, they would be traumatized and never be able to eat ever again.
That's a whole thing about the violence, becoming more and more accepted in American society.
But
You
I mean,
could go
it's
into a
whole
that's a different discussion.
things improve over time. So
not
this,
necessarily.
well, majority of entertainment, stories get slightly more intense or copy other things and build on things, continuously try to build on other things.
Anything you can do, I can do better. Sooner or later, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
How many songs do you have running through your head at any given moment in time?
Andrew questions my ability. I see, once we have a podcast, I see you everywhere. I'll see you in the
it's
dining
crazy.
hall. I'll see you somewhere else. I'll see you in your house.
That's weird.
Whoa.
Whoa. Do you like the new furniture? Do you like the new furniture I have?
This is slightly creepy.
You might want to check what's in that furniture.
Is it you?
Oh no, this has gone weird.
Okay.
Change the subject. Change the
moving on.
subject.
So I'm saying things improve over time. So while we might not think it's cool now, back then it was cool. And like the stuff coming out now with the new Pokemon
Yeah.
movie is gonna be like insane.
Yeah, well, like I
Oh
said,
man, I can't wait.
you know, like I was saying back when we did the Pokemon 2000, like back when I saw that in theaters, I thought that was the coolest thing ever, you know, because I was like crazy about Pokemon back then. And watching it now, you know, it's not as cool as it was before. The difference between this movie and Pokemon 2000, as I sort of was going to earlier, is number one, it had a lot more like action,
Lots
and you
of
know
action.
it was a much bigger stakes sort of thing, you know, like they're fighting to, you know, save the world, and all these Pokemon are coming, and there are the 3 legendary birds and Lugia all going at it, blah blah blah.
The
Whereas
legendary
it-
birds are just mad at everything. Like they get back and it's not like, well, I was just in this cage that kept zapping me. I'm gonna take a nap. No, I'm gonna rampage on everything and destroy the world. Rawr.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the action and the plot and stuff. It was also it was more fun, I think, than this movie, because that actually had like some genuinely funny jokes, or you know, jokes like the Frozen one, and you get
The Weight
Slow
Watchers
King.
plan. I heard if you stick to the program or something like that, I love that line.
Yeah, there's the Weight Watchers thing, or just the ridiculous things that are going on, like when they drive
And
the
then she
the
said,
little,
I have crabbies.
yeah, there's stuff like that. There's where they drive the boat up the mountain, you know,
Still weird.
which is so
Twice.
stupid.
I did it twice.
The point being, like, we were watching that movie and we were laughing and talking and like just, you know, having fun with it. You know, even though it was ridiculous and silly, it was a fun type of ridiculous and silly. Whereas this movie, it was a much quieter, and there were only a few moments where we were like bursting out at something silly happening. You know, so it was a bit more of a serious movie. You know, which, you know, Pokemon trying to do serious, you know, you have to really invest some time in your writing and character development and stuff to make that work. And Pokemon's not always the best at that.
Right.
See, I have to agree, because I felt like, like you said, Pokemon 2000, the stakes felt higher because they were talking about, you know, how the world's going to end. And I felt like they just arbitrarily and randomly raised the stakes in this movie. Because when she was in the machine, she's like, I can control the whole world. I'm like, since when can that machine control the whole world? And when did you get that power? And like, where is this coming from?
I think
And
she
why
was
are
just
you
a bit
controlling
nuts.
the world?
Yeah.
So I'm like, now you're just like trying to raise the stakes to make us feel epic, when there really was, before was just like, oh, I can control this town now. And
Yeah.
this town is now mine.
Yeah,
Because it's
that
a
was,
town.
This is now mine.
I had a similar feeling. Like, yeah, she's, you know, the machine is kind of cool in that it gives her basically complete control over that city, and it's like, that's cool. But I don't see how that's gonna help you take over the world. You know, picking the brain style. You know,
What are we gonna do tonight, Brain?
same thing we do
do
every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
That was really scary. Don't do that again.
We're Pinky. We're Pinky.
You're gonna hear
and
that in
the
your
brain,
nightmares,
brain,
Clara.
brain,
No, I think it was
brain,
the point that you all said it in the same tone, and it was
The
just,
same monotone.
oh my
voice.
god, don't do that again.
Again.
We'll do it
No.
all
Like the
time.
Teletubbies. Again.
Oh god, not the
Oh
Teletubbies.
man,
Teletubbies was creepy, dude.
That was weird. That was weird as a kid.
Yes, I
Yeah.
didn't like it.
I was
You all
always really
loved-
sad when they wouldn't do it again, and I was like, ah, you jerks.
Damn it.
You all liked Nunu.
What was Nunu?
That was the weird
vacuum thing.
Oh,
Or Tubby Custard or Tubby Toast.
I don't know. The part I always found the weirdest was
I
that
didn't understand how they ate it.
how is there a baby face in the sun and no one questions that?
Because logic, Alex. Because logic.
Because of reasons.
So Pokemon
Raisins.
relates
Yeah.
to Teletubbies, I see.
Definitely.
That's not a cross we
Go-
wanted.
No.
Please, God, no. Please do not make a Teletubby
Oh.
Pokemon.
Rule 34. Rule
No.
34.
No, no. Get out.
God, I'm having nightmares now.
What is that
It's okay,
laugh?
Andrew. It's okay.
All right, so I'll calm down here a
I'm not
little
going to
bit.
deal with that.
No Teletubby Pokemon crossovers are happening in the near future. Don't worry.
Thank God.
All right. Going back to Pokemon Heroes, one bit I thought was kind of funny from the opening of the film, because I admit that was kind of cool, that little wave race thing. Although, why exactly Latios dragged Ash off of the course, I don't know. I sort of thought
Latios did it.
was it Latios?
I think they were testing him. That's
Really?
what my whole theory is behind it, because for
Oh.
some reason, Latios was attached to him, and she was like, I'm going to help him win. And then Latios was like, all right, we're going to see what happens when this happens. So when he drags those two off to the side, and then they see him being like, don't worry, Totodile, everything's okay. And then you see Latios look at her brother, and then he looks back, and they fly away. And it's like almost like they were testing to see what he would do.
Because they were waiting for Ash to go,
Totodile, what the insert cuss word here.
yeah, that was the problem. I was going to do it really emotionally, and I'm like, wait a minute, language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the problem with
but
that,
it's
though...
like, don't worry, Totodile, everyone makes a mistake. Hug face.
Yeah, the problem with that though is that because they're invisible like that, I had no way of telling which was Latios and which was Latios. So I thought I was obvious Latios was helping him, and then I thought then that she was gonna like take him on like some sort of shortcut like through the city to get to like the finish line before everyone else. But I was like, nope, they're just taking him off and making him lose. Good job, guys.
There's a reason.
Hey, whatever happened to that kid that was at the end of the race?
He
that,
took them on a gondola ride and then went on with his
yeah,
life.
and then like didn't ever was relevant again or
Yeah.
did anything.
I thought he might be one of the minor characters, but nope.
Like he
Nah.
flirted with Misty, and then I was like, oh no, we're done now.
Yeah, I did love him though because he had a whalmer, and I was just thinking as I was watching it, like
Gen 3, Gen 3.
What if he evolved that into a whale lord and raced with it?
You would destroy everything.
That'd be awesome. He'd just go down the
the
canals
city.
and just break the buildings on the
Oh,
side.
man. That thing is 44 feet tall, Alex.
44 feet tall or long?
I don't remember. I know it's 44
Tall-
or something.
Tall seems pushing it. Like that's
It's
like
a big thing. It's
Check
a-
the Pokedex. It'll tell you. And it's like if you go in the Pokedex and put it next to your character, it's terrifying.
Oh, your laptop is kind of reddish shaped. It could be a Pokédex.
Really, really large one.
there you go. That's the secret.
It's your
We're
Pokédex.
pulling up some Whale Lord action here. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, I suppose that's something I haven't really thought about, but essentially, like you're pretty much.
Its height is 47 feet and
Jeez.
7 inches.
Tall.
How long is it then?
There is no length. Its weight is
Nobody's ever
877.4 pounds.
See, so if that's its height, quote unquote, I gotta believe that means
It's
actual-
probably twice as long.
There's no length because nobody's ever seen the end of it.
no one's ever seen
But like,
it.
if you like, I don't know, in the Pokemon Special Adventures manga, you can see one of the characters riding on a whale lord, and it is gigantic.
Whale Lord.
And it's just like,
Whale.
I'm here to be your boat. That's
Here
it.
to be your boat.
That's pretty much it. It never really battles.
It's here to be your battleship.
Well, that too.
Okay.
It is my ship.
Remember how earlier I was talking about how I had some issues with Annie and Oakley as villains?
Yes.
This was part of it where they go and they capture the Latias, Latias who's masquerading as the girl. And then Ash shows up and he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And he comes in and
Oh, yeah, that was a really lame fight sequence.
It was
there.
really
well,
ridiculous.
the problem was like he comes up there, tears off the spider web, and they're just sort of mocking him, but just letting him get away with it. Then the Espeon shoots a Psy beam at him, and it hurts him a little bit, but he just shakes it off immediately and like it lets Pikachu attack him, and then the two of them just run away. And Annie and Oakley are like, "Oh, after them. We didn't try to stop you earlier because we're
They
stupid."
probably didn't think he was a threat because he's a
Aha.
little
Yeah.
kid.
Stop! Don't.
See,
But-
Alex, you could have told what the shadows were because they have a slight tint of blue and a slight tint of red to them. I was checking that.
And the ear things are different.
Oh, you mean with the
colors,
Latios
yeah.
I also
and
thought that
Latias.
Latios was
they're-
bigger.
when they're in
than
their
Latios.
invisible mode.
I mean, Latios
We couldn't
is
tell
bigger.
because Mark didn't want to put it on the big TV.
Put on his stupid 20-inch monitor.
Yeah.
How
I
rude
have
of him.
problems with that.
Yes.
Your TV isn't that much bigger,
Well,
Alex.
I'm not the one who complains about those sorts
Hey,
of things.
I-
Matt's the one who's like,
Hey.
it has to be in 1080p glory. If it's
People- hey,
anything
people
less
can-
than that, I
hey,
will
if
freak out.
People want to come over. I don't mind having moving nets and stuff. We've got
I just
42 inch.
ninja my way back up there.
42 inch. Nice.
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 We'll be at that room next year.
Yeah. Well, and the weird thing about that Psybeam thing was because I took note of this. Psybeam hits Ash. He shrugs it off like it's nothing. Then later on, Espeon hits Latias with a Psybeam, and it like knocks it out of the air and like stuns it for a minute.
Hey, but
So-
what about round-faced Santa? You can't forget
was
about
psych-
Santa.
That was psychic. Psychic does 95 damage.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. See,
Psybeam
that was different.
does like 65.
Exactly. So this apparently Ash is stronger than a
85?
legendary Pokemon. That's basically
Well,
what they
I mean,
just showed us.
I assume that they're not trying to kill him, so it's probably not going to be it's probably, like I said, they underestimated him because he's just this random kid,
But he
and
did
they're
have-
like, we're secret agents.
But
deal with it.
But Pikachu's always with him, so they knew he had a Pokemon.
Yeah, but it's a Pikachu. If it was a Raichu, they would probably be a little bit more wary, but they don't understand that this Pikachu is ridiculously OP.
Yes, this Pikachu is a god among Pikachus.
Is this Pikachu really? Is that like really like the plot of that? Is that Pikachu is OP? Because I thought it was just.
Don't you remember?
You know, like every region has like a reset button on the back of it, so he just resets it to like level 5. Because every time they run into someone in a new region, they lose the first time to establish a rivalry between whoever he lost with. Like when they went to Sinnoh and they ran into this Paul guy, he's like, "Oh yeah, I have an Electivire. Deal with it. I'm mean to all my Pokemon. Here, have this Chimchar that I abandoned." And then Ash takes the Chimchar and evolves it, and it totally wrecks everything. And Paul's all like,
if you remember, in the very first episode, Pikachu is able to call down like the thunder of the gods to get rid of all the little Spearows or whatever it is.
There were so many theories to do with that like Ho-Ho was there and was like helping him or something, and just all the crazy. I just thought,
man, there's just huge conspiracy.
I just thought that Jesse and
Ash is
James were
dead.
idiots, and they just thought that Pikachu was, this epic thing, and that was their whole thing. But they're just stupid, and it was just like a
Giovanni
fluke.
wants a Pikachu.
He
Let's just go
doesn't,
after.
though. He really doesn't.
He doesn't care.
Did they reveal that at
That's
some
maybe
point?
the-
He just, no, why would he want one? He's a ground Pokemon trainer. Like, he's this 8th gym that Ash never gets to. Well, he does, but it's not actually. But you see Gary. Actually, the funny thing is, in the episode where Ash and gang get to the gym, Gary had just got his butt handed to him by Giovanni using Mewtwo.
Yeah, because Giovanni used Mewtwo, which is like
and
hacks.
then the whole thing with Mewtwo happened, so Giovanni had to all skedaddle out of there. And then
Team
Team Rocket
Rocket
took over and almost won, but Ash is like, nope, I'm main character. Main character powers go. So he won.
It's also the only gym leader I think that he ever beat on his first try. So
Right. Well, I mean, I'm trying to
Well,
remember.
some of the times he didn't even win. It's just, I feel sorry for you. Here, thanks for helping.
here's your badge.
like Erica.
Yeah,
He
well,
saved a Gloom. Here's your rainbow badge. Let's go. I don't even remember him fighting Koga. I really don't remember him fighting Koga. I remember him fighting Sabrina. But I mean, like, because I woke up at 7 in the morning for that.
That's dedication.
That was on my vacation, too. I was in North Carolina. It was beautiful.
I'm waking up for Pokemon though.
I did. My mom's like, look, the sunrise. I'm like, Pokemon. No. Pokemon.
There is Pokemon on the TV. I'm
this
watching
is very important.
This is better than the sunrise. This is prettier.
Point is, Pikachu has reset button.
Oh,
The end.
I remember I was going to say, you mentioned Team Rocket just a minute ago. I really feel sorry for them in this movie because they
God,
just
yeah.
exist to show up in a few
Torture.
scenes and have like water splashed on them or
Hey, it even happens in the Camp Pikachu short to Wobbuffet and Meowth. They're just kind of there.
Foreshadowing.
yes, because we needed to foreshadow the Camp Pikachu short film.
Come
yeah.
on down to Camp Pikachu.
Shut up. We won't speak of that.
By the gods.
We should still talk about it near the end. 'Cause I
Nope,
like
nope.
it.
We will talk about it because that's the thing. I actually almost enjoyed the Camp Pikachu little mini movie more than the Pokemon Heroes movie just because I was laughing a lot during
Why
Why
not?
Thank you for spiking the mic there.
Why not?
Why not?
Also, how does Annie remain standing up? Her hair is like bigger than her entire head,
It's full of secrets.
and yet somehow
have
she.
we looked at the newest Pokemon people? The one
Iris.
Iris. She
Oh,
has her
Iris.
hair is it's the size of her on her back.
Sometimes Pokemon hide in it. Like her Axu will just be in her hair, but then like pops out and sits on her
Yeah,
shoulder.
you have not seen. You want to talk about problems with hair? The newest.
Silent's eyes. His eyes terrify me. There are no whites of his eyes. It's just skin color.
Are you
wait,
saying?
wait. What? Who?
What's her name again? How do you spell it?
Iris.
Oh,
Iris.
Wait. Who are you talking about?
Silent. He's the
Silence?
grass trainer. Silence. Cilan. There's Silent, Cress, and Chili.
That
and
chick.
they are the triplet leaders of Stracion Gym.
That is her hair. No joke.
So is she the new like sidekick character?
Yeah, she's
for
a new
Ash?
female character, which doesn't make sense because in the game you don't meet her until the last city. And then in Black and White 2, spoiler alert, she's the champion, which doesn't make any sense.
Huh.
But Pokemon, whatever.
That's pretty ridiculous hair. I'm not gonna lie.
I just,
It looks-
I just want them to make an anime based on the games with the main characters
like
of
Victory.
the games.
It's
You
like
mean
Victory
Like
Bell
the
manga?
Raikou.
Her hair could eat people, like Victory Bell.
It's like the random Raikou short, where it's got that random Team Rocket guy trying to capture it, and then it had gold and crystal in it. You even saw silver in the beginning, even though it was named Marina and like Kenji or something. Do you guys remember that short?
Nope.
What?
You're talking to a wall.
It was in
and it doesn't say
Johto,
hello.
Sorry.
and it was great. Oh man,
We'll have to watch it eventually. And we had
Alex is breaking things again. Typical.
No, we were just having a little headphone issue there.
Headphones.
it was so good.
Brock was barely in this movie, but he did have a couple lines that I did actually genuinely laugh at.
Oh.
Do you guys remember when they come to the cathedral building or whatever it is?
I have seen the light.
Well, there was that, but then he comes in, he's looking at the stained glass, and he just, the noise he makes, he's just like, "Bwah!" It's this really drawn out like reaction. It's so stupid.
I will definitely meet a girl in this town. Just don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Brock's voice is the same voice as James.
And Kaiba.
Yep. Yep, Eric Stewart does all those.
Oh, there.
He's pretty cool. And then later on, I think they're talking about the fossils, of the Aerodactyl and stuff. And Brock says at one point, I don't even remember where he said this, but I wrote it down because it's so stupid. He says, "It's the fossils, evil fossils." More great Pokemon writing.
The fossils
There.
are
I think that
evil.
might be when they were resurrected and they
I think
saw
the
them
best
for the
part
first
is
time.
that Brock is a rock trainer, and I think he'd be more excited that they were rock Pokemon than, like, I don't know. Because if you battle him in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, like the second or third time, he actually has a Kabutops. So it's like, this should be your specialty, man. You should know this. You shouldn't have to ask what these Pokemon are. You've
Yeah.
run into an Aerodactyl in like episode like 14.
They have no memories of that time.
No memories
It's been
ever.
erased.
I mean, like they did in the new series, they remade the whole like every time they had a flashback about like Charmander, because Charmander is back now, and Ash was like recalling stuff about it. They redid the animations for it and changed it slightly, which I understand why, but it's still at the same time, it's like you should have just used the old footage.
yeah,
That would have
the
been
power
amazing if you
of
did the
retcon.
old footage, because they like. It's so different. Like someone took a shot from when Ash told Charizard to leave the first time, where he's like pointing off and his hat's in his face, and Ash gets noticeably like skinnier. Like he shrinks in size by at least one half. Like
You're saying from the old version to the new version?
yeah, like the new version is ridiculously like the flashback that they made of him is like really tiny, like in
He's supposed
comparison to the original one.
He's supposed to be like really younger back then. He's
I know,
supposed
and
to
it's
show
like-
that there actually is the passage of time somewhere. In
No,
Pokemon.
there's a theory that Ho-Oh, when Ash sees him, grants him his wish because he's like, I want to go on a Pokemon journey forever. And so Ho-Oh does that. There's the whole theory about why he doesn't age.
And so that he actually like died there at the
Well, yeah, that or he died or he is in a coma.
Or he's immortal and just wandering.
Yeah, I
the
think we
town.
talked about
Immortally,
that.
A 10-year-old boy just wandering, and that's why he can never beat the Elite Four, because then the journey will end.
Yeah.
Why he just didn't go back and try again, like
And
everybody
Richie
else.
is like himself, but like his own obstacle. Richie was cool. I liked Richie.
yeah.
Richie and his Zippy the Charmander. Or no, it was Zippo, because it was like Zippo lighters. Ha 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 ha.
Aha. Hilarious joke there. Oh, and
There are
another
Zippo lighters.
another little thing that bothered me. You guys remember where Oakley is making all the little bars show up, and Ash and Latias managed to get out just in time, and Brock and Misty are stuck behind him. So two little things happen in that little scene. One, Brock tries to bend the metal bars with his bare hands, and is like,
Brock's
they
a
won't
man.
budge.
Brock
he
is
has
a
an
man.
Onyx. Like
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
he has
of.
an Onyx. He can get through this.
They want to be considerate, not break things.
Also,
I think they'd rather
Also-
have you save the town.
this is
Everyone's
this is
sleeping.
just
They'll
them
have no
writing
memory of
Brock
this.
and Misty out of the movie again. Like they kept writing Brock and Misty out of the movie.
Yeah, they weren't really present in most of it.
Nope.
And neither were the town citizens. Wait till they wake up. They're going to see all those boats destroyed.
Yeah.
Well,
Like they don't know. Like they wake up after like everything's already over. Like the water's back. Everyone's still just fine.
It seems like that's a
bunch of broken
that's a
boats,
tradition in like a lot of these Pokemon movies is that it's
No one ever sees Ash doing the heroic
well
deed.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like Brock and Misty or whoever like the characters are who is like his constant companions sort of get pushed to the side, and it's either Ash with some new character, or Ash with some new Pokemon,
We don't
and they
need
get most of
you.
the screen time.
Stupid Misty and Brock.
I know, but Brock's so funny.
I love when Misty gets a Gyarados. It ruins everything. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And then what happens next is
That was in season 3.
they make the point about how Ash left all of his Pokemon in the room, and they've got his belt there, and then they let their Pokemon out, to go help him out or whatever. But I was just sitting there thinking, like, you literally have his belt right there. Just let his Pokemon out so they can go help.
Well, I mean, it's like if someone came in, like if you left the room and someone else is like, hey, is Alex here? I want to borrow some snacks. And they're like, yeah, here, have all his snacks.
It's not ice Pokemon time.
I'm trying to keep it out of the picture here. But it's like, it's not yours to use. It's not yours. It's like, oh, hey, can I walk Alex's dog?
Okay.
No, this is Alex's dog.
This is different. Okay, so this would be like if let's use the dog thing, okay?
Yeah.
So I have a dog, but it's a superpowered dog, like in the Pokemon world, basically.
It probably wouldn't listen to anyone but
crypto.
you.
Well, we'll see on that, because
That's true because they don't have the gym badges.
Right.
so if I've got this superpowered dog, and I'm off doing something where I'm risking my life, to do this important thing or whatever, save the city, my friends are there and they're like, they could let the dog go and try to help me. They're like, hey, go help your master. But then they don't because they're trying to be courteous.
No, it's just like the whole fact, like it's not their Pokemon. We're not condoning
Who
stealing
cares?
here.
They're not stealing
You do,
them.
apparently.
And I swear there are other episodes where they let other people, like, their companions' Pokemon out of their Pokeballs and it's fine,
I don't know.
I can't think of a specific.
I don't have an answer besides the fact that it's not their Pokemon.
Okay, well, whatever. I feel like if the Pokemon were told, hey, your master's in danger, they wouldn't care that, oh, well, this stranger's ordering me around. And they're not even strangers because they're around Brock and Misty all the time, It'd be one thing if it was a complete person they didn't know.
Right. I'm trying to remember what Pokemon Ash has with him at this point. I know he's got Totodile, Chikorita, and Cyndaquil. Pikachu.
Are we gonna?
Vampy, and I'm trying to remember. Can't right now.
Well, don't ask me. I'm not the anime Pokemon expert, unfortunately. Although you did bring up...
Noctowl.
Okay.
It's a shiny Noctowl. Which doesn't make sense because it's not shiny Hoot Hoot.
You did bring up that, Totodile, who's probably my favorite part in this movie.
Totodile.
Just because, when, Latias is carrying him and stuff, he doesn't give he doesn't give a crap out about any of it. He's just, wiggling his little legs and, yelling in his little Totodile voice.
Yeah.
Nothing brings Totodile down.
Ever.
It's a Donald Duck.
I know.
It sounds just like Donald Duck, yes.
Much like our own Mark Goldsmith famously said, I love Totodile so much. So,
Yeah.
there you have it.
He is Totodile.
And then I figure to wrap up our little Pokemon Heroes discussion, we should probably talk about the ending where Clara starts to cry, and
I didn't cry this time.
not this time though.
I would have if I was by myself.
Yeah, it is. I know. I admit, we had brought up earlier how this movie didn't really seem to have any stakes in it. That's really the first time I feel like there are actually stakes because it's like, oh, giant wave coming to destroy the city. That's kind of bad. Because what Annie and Oakley were doing, was kind of bad, but it wasn't like, the Aerodactyl and the Kabutops are going around destroying all the buildings in town. They
were told to get Latias.
Exactly. So they were searching for Latias, So that wasn't such a huge threat to the city, whereas Tidal Wave obviously is, And you get to see the heroic sacrifice of Latios.
That's the saddest thing ever. I drew pictures of that all the time just to get over my sadness.
So you get over your sadness by drawing pictures?
I cope this way.
Did you draw pictures of episode 21 of Psycho
No,
Pass?
I didn't. You shush about that. Why do you do this to me? I don't know what I did to provoke
one
you.
sad thing causes you to draw things, so why would it another? It's not such a reasonable claim to make.
I draw Kane on my notes. It's good enough for me.
Oh, okay.
I've drawn her twice now. And with Kagiri because I think they're cute.
Aw.
But not anymore
Ain't
because
that adorable?
Not Kogami?
oh, I love her and Kogami, but her and Kagari were my favorite from the beginning. And then there's this actually really cool picture that I have on Tumblr of Kogami is like shooting to like the right, but he has his arm around her waist, and then she's pointing like prospectively towards the like audience area, and it's like, oh, he's protecting her. That's adorable.
It's so cute.
How
Like, I looked
recent
at it
was
and I
that?
go, oh, pretty recent, I think. I mean, I have it in my favorites, so or yeah, I
But
can revlog it.
it was interesting where Latios dies and everyone's like, oh sad, and then they do the share site thing,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden we're
In space,
in space.
gotta go space,
Which-
Space. So much space.
star.
Which did that confuse anyone else? Like, are they trying to say that heaven is in space? Like,
I don't know, man.
What's
I really
going on
don't
there?
know.
I don't know.
Supposed to be like he's gone. He's not on this planet anymore, man.
Well, they were using the same animation from earlier in the movie because it starts with like way out in space and it's like Brock's voice coming up as they come in towards the planet. So I guess there's a parallel there, maybe.
Something.
Although I will admit, I did kind of like, they build up this whole mythology backstory with, the Latios from before dying to save the town, and it turning into the Soul Dew, and it happens again with the other Latios.
I just feel like Latios is just a victim of just horrible circumstances. Like, he has to protect Latios, so he gets his butt kicked, and then he's used to power this machine that's going to destroy his town, and then he has to stop this giant tidal wave, and he's just like, guys, I'm so tired. I'm just so tired right now. I'm going to die. And then he does die.
And then he does die. That's a good point. Just bringing up that, though, with the exception of where Latias saves Ash, from the water, she really doesn't do anything in comparison to her brother.
Because she's a baby.
A baby. But I can't believe she's that much younger than him. I mean,
Well,
she's obviously smaller.
They've never
but
really had to deal with any trouble, but I'm assuming Latios just being like the older brother figure is so used to taking care of her. But I don't assume that they have to deal with this every weekend.
No, that's true. They even made the point how peaceful it is there.
Right, because they're always like patrolling.
Patrolling.
And it is a tiny little island town that's not on the map of any other Pokemon region, so therefore it does not exist.
It does not exist. It exists only for the purposes of this movie, and then it
But
will
the thing
disappear.
though, it's like people like I used to think like, oh, there's only one legendary Pokemon ever. But like around Emerald version, when someone in the Battle Frontier had a Regirock, Regice, and Registeel, and I was like, wait, I can catch those. And I have them right now. How do you have them if I have them? And then randomly, I forget what season, but there was like a baby Lugia. So I feel like there are more than one of these legendary Pokemon around, minus Mewtwo, because there's only one of that and one of Mew. But
yeah, well,
it's like there has to be another Latios and Latias somewhere.
What about like Daigia and Palkia? Can't there only be like one of them?
Well, right. There's like the really large ones, like Arceus, who's pretty much
God.
Kami-sama of Pokemon. And then Dialga and Palkia, which are space and time. And then Regigigas, I feel like there's only one of those. But I mean, like, they could have like smaller ones, I guess.
Yeah, well, we talked about on the Pokemon 2000 podcast about that because I sort of was also in the impression that there was only one of every legendary, and they brought the baby Lugia thing.
Right.
But at the same time, in like the games, like I remember in Ruby and Sapphire, it's a big deal. Like the bad guys are trying to use Groudon and Kyogre.
I feel like there's only one of those too.
Okay, so it's certain legendaries there are only one of.
Right,
you're
but
saying?
like there were more than one Reggie, and I feel like there can be more than. See, that's the thing. Like in the comics, one of the Battle Frontier gets Raikou, which makes sense because it's kind of just wandering around. So I guess anyone can capture it. But the fact that like they're using it, it confused me, and I was like, wait. There's a whole thing about him having to like choose a master, and he chose Lieutenant Surge because he was electricity master. So why do you have it? Like, it was just weird to me. I don't know. Just people who are not the main character using legendaries is just off-putting to me.
And the thing with the whole idea of there being more than one legendary is like you sort of get in your head like, well, if there's more than one Lugia and like more than one Ho-Oh and like all the legendary birds, like I just build like an army of those.
Army of
go,
Lugia.
yes,
which is really,
go.
really, honestly not a good idea because I think it's flying psychic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's weak to ice, rock, dark, just so much.
Well, but I sort of imagine it almost like, in Avatar The Last
Ghost.
Airbender, going back to that, where you get that bit of the airships flying over the Earth Kingdom and them shooting the fire down.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that just with like a army of Lugias just shooting a hyper beam on the ground, like just destroying
Probably more of an
everything.
aerial blast because that's its move. But it
yeah.
could be hyper beam.
Well,
but you have to recharge after every
In
turn.
the movie though, he's using hyper
Right.
beam. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think aerial blast was actually invented yet because this is technically still Gen 1, but at the same time, Lugia didn't come in until Gen 2. It's like the Togepi incident. Togepi is Gen 2.
Togepi incident.
Togepi
Ho-Ho.
doesn't show up until Generation 2.
But Ho-Ho is
Dun, dun,
Gen 2, but
dun.
it's in the first episode.
I know, that's what Pokemon confuses me in the anime with. That's why they have to stick to the manga. But yeah.
There's a manga.
Yeah, it's so good. Pokemon Adventure Specials. Like, things get really serious. And
Isn't
things
that Red and
things
Blue?
die. Like,
Like
oh my
Pokemon?
god.
People
Norman
die
Killed
when-
when they're killed. Fact.
Pokemon die. Arbok gets cut in half. It's pretty intense.
Oh
Yikes.
man.
By Charmeleon. It's really intense. There's a zombie Pokemon in Lavender Town. It's pretty creepy.
Pretty creepy.
Pretty creepy.
All right, so I think any final thoughts on Pokemon Heroes, the movie in general?
My
I think
babies.
I've sort of said my 2 cents on it.
It's good. The animation's beautiful, but that's it.
So you sort of think it's good for animation's sake, but story wise,
Yeah, I have a crush on it because it's still some of the animation, that fight scene, it's still mixing traditional animation, but with the digital animation. And as an animator, it's like I have feels for that era.
well, and you said the architecture person in you is dying in this movie.
I want to go there. Can this be a real place?
It's called
Venice.
Venice.
I've been there.
It's just Venice.
You've been to Venice?
Yeah, I went to Italy summer before
Oh,
my
that's
freshman year
awesome.
in high school.
I want to go to Italy
Wow.
so bad.
It's
I'm
slightly
jealous.
smelly.
Yeah, that's the thing
I
I've
bet.
heard about Venice.
But-
Because its water is its
So.
sewage system.
That place exists.
There you go.
I want to go to
It's
the
in
Pokemon.
Italy.
No, I want to go to the real Pokemon.
Well,
the
that I
water
can
is
help.
blue. There's vines growing.
Yin.
Yeah, I want to hear that too. I demand it to be heard.
Demand it. Andrew, your final thoughts?
I said most of it. It wasn't one of the, in my opinion. I know Clara's about ready to kill me when I say this.
I allow
but
people to have opinions.
I didn't like it very much. I thought it was one of the lower end of the Pokemon movies because I felt like it was kind of boring, and even though it was shorter, it felt like it was dragged on
Right.
for like the time it was there. And I just felt like there were some plot holes, some character motivation lacking, some pacing issues. And then they wrote out all the main characters to give Ash and the Latios this plot line that never really went anywhere. And at the end, the Latios Ash plot line never gets like any payout for resolution. So I just felt like it,
Kiss.
Now kiss.
I just felt like that it could have benefited from being a little bit longer and like a little bit more fleshed out and defined. But and that if you want to watch a Pokemon movie, there are 15 other ones.
Right.
And at least 5 of them I can recommend to people.
What would those be? The first 3?
The first 3, I like the Entei one. I haven't seen that one in a while though, so maybe I don't like it as much as I remember.
Taped it, and I'm just like, yeah, man.
I know. Like I said before,
I like the Deoxys one, but Rayquaza,
yeah.
that one's really
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
I do
that's
love
good.
That's
Ray-
a really cool fight scene.
Rayquaza is one of my favorite Pokemon. He's
It's
badass.
so OP though.
It is.
My brother used it in everything, and I hated it.
Yeah, and I actually remember I didn't like the Jirachi one a ton, but until it got to the end, because the fight with that evil Groudon was
Yeah.
really cool.
Which
That
was
was-
like not a Groudon though, because it was just like earth and magma. So it was almost
Right.
Groudon, which I think made it a little scarier because it's like, oh man, this isn't even a Groudon, but it's like horrifying.
Well, which confused me, 'cause I thought the Groudon was in the Celebi movie, but
No.
What was
No, that's
the
just a
thing?
Vine creature.
Vine thing that's gonna destroy the world of Celebi.
Yeah, Celebi's just
reasons.
like going crazy with the forest stuff when it turns all evil.
But yeah,
It's
so-
like in Mononoke, you don't mess with the forest spirit.
Bad things
Ever.
happen.
So yeah, that's just my opinion on it.
Okay. I think Clara and I have probably explained our 2 cents at this point.
I
So
love my baby.
real
Sorry,
quick,
Clara.
let's talk about the Pikachu mini movie that was before
Pikachu.
this one, Camp Pikachu. I
Come
know-
on down to Camp Pikachu.
And it does have a random swing dancing song near the beginning.
And the terrible
And-
graphics with the words stretching up and down, left and right,
And
and
a
then
little
the
horn.
to go,
Yeah, that almost killed me. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to find the Japanese version, and we can officially blame 4Kids for it. We're going to blame 4Kids kids.
4 kids.
But it was
I
hilarious.
mean, we can blame 4 kids for a lot already, so we can just keep the blame going.
But it was hilarious, so I actually kind of liked it.
Why not?
Because, like I was saying, I laughed more at the Pokemon mini movie than I did at Pokemon Heroes, just because the Pokemon mini movie was ridiculous, but it was also fun. So I was like,
I like how Why Not is just like
go.
completely shaped, just like with his arms up. Like, why not?
And they're like ears. They aren't even arms.
Can I say I love the little bit where it's just Why Not and Wobbuffet like talking to each other like old friends, and it's just constantly Wobbuffet, why not?
Why, fat? Why?
And then
Why
Meowth
not?
is freaking out.
Yeah.
But he could understand what they're actually saying, so who
I
knows?
love that about Meowth. I love that so much.
Yeah.
What,
You
if
mean
he
just how
understands all?
Like how he can just communicate and how he could actually talk.
You can speak lightning.
Yeah.
Does
no,
it
actually,
really?
no, Pikachu can
Remember
only do
Pokemon
that.
2000? Because Pikachu was zapping Zapdos, and he's like, oh, he's saying this. And I'm like, you can speak lightning. That's cool.
Oh yeah.
That's
how
cool.
how does that work? Is he reading the thoughts of the lightning?
I don't know. He
I feel
just
like
speaks
it's probably
lightning.
like, I don't know, body language maybe. I don't know.
I guess.
Like, I mean, if a dog growls, you're not
Or-
going to be like, oh, I'm going to go pet it.
Maybe when because Pikachu's like when he's doing it, he's saying like chew, as he's doing his little
Yeah.
lightning thing. Maybe when he's saying his name, he's actually speaking in the Pokemon language, whatever that may be.
Still, there's this, oh my God. Do we call Pokemon their names? Do they say their names because that's what we call them? Or do we call them that because that's what they say?
Ooh, one of
Life's mysteries.
Well, in the
Because
games,
some
they don't.
Pokemon, like Onyx, is like,
yeah, or like Latios and Latios, they just go.
well,
they
so,
don't say their
Latias,
name.
well, they're pretty much just saying La over again. La. It's like Pikachu going Pika.
But what if it only applies to some Pokemon and some other ones?
Yeah, because I heard Latios go Latios just once.
That's true. I did hear
Because
that
it's in the
once.
end, it's like Latios, and I'm like, you're adorable, but my baby.
Yeah, I would probably say they have names and they just happen to say their names as voices because, like we said, there are some that don't say their name and
Right.
yet we still call them
Pikachu
that.
is Pikachu in Japanese and in English.
Oh, really?
But in they have different names. Like, I'm trying to remember the names for the evolutions because I know Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon are not their original names. Like it's like Flamey and Volty and like Splashy or something like that. It's something really silly
Splashy.
like that. But like the Japanese like word for it, they all end in the same. And Ninfeon, which is the newest one, it was translated into Sylveon in English, which is why people think it's
Well, that-
flying type, but it's not.
That's something.
I'll fight that to the death.
Unless they announce it on like Friday,
Well,
on
then-
Saturday, like, oh, it's flying.
Which still doesn't make sense because it doesn't have wings or clouds or anything.
Why is Sudowoodo a rock type?
Because it is. It's pseudo, fake wood.
Hey, Sudowoodo was bad.
That makes it rock.
Hey.
Oh yeah, Sudowoodo was evil in Camp
yeah,
Pikachu.
he was like he was.
Yeah.
He's
good.
always evil.
It was a jerk.
He's always
I,
evil.
I basically said he was a troll because
He
he's just like
was.
holding that thing just out of reach of why
He
not
was.
or whatever.
He's always that though, because he's always blocking your path. Or,
Yeah, and you have to use
and
water
his entire
bottles.
existence is just him trolling you because he's like, I'm not a tree, but I'm a rock type. So when you see me for the first time, like, go fire. Why is the fire not working? Fire,
Right.
work, fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, based on what you were just saying, Clara,
Yeah.
I was thinking of reminding me of One Piece because in One Piece, all of the devil fruits have very specific names, and if you translate the Japanese, like Luffy's is the that's a bad example because his is the gum fruit, which is just gum fruit, rubber fruit, whatever you want to call it. But then you got like
Which Gumu is rubber, like eraser. Gumu.
yeah,
Gumu.
gomu.
Yeah,
is, I
gomu.
think, is what they call it. Like I think Aces is the Mero no Mi fruit, which is like fire fruit. So hearing it just called fire fruit doesn't sound all that cool, but when you call it the Mero no Mi fruit, it's like, ooh, that sounds mysterious,
Because Japan.
because Japan, pretty much. That's
Because we don't speak Japanese.
yeah, they're those types of people, who are like refuse to call things by the English names instead calling them by the Japanese. Like I know,
Like, I dislike English dubs, so I like watching subtitled versions because it's supposed to be exactly what it is.
right? Because like people don't call like Goku a Super Saiyan; they call him Super Saiyajin. It's like spelled with a YJ in
Or the
Japanese.
Navy/Marines.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That annoys me. It says in this is One Piece, like In One Piece, the boats and their hats, they all say Marines. They say Marines. But the dub, the new
Even
dub,
in English sometimes.
it's always written in English characters, but Funimation insists in its dub that's the Navy.
Right. Well,
There's a difference between.
I think it's something where like that for whatever reason they made that decision like way back years ago, and they probably have realized by now it was a bad idea, but they just have to stick with it because to change it would be like bad.
See, they do that with
Sacrilege.
Clanat a lot, which is the pronunciation of their names. Because in English, we elongate things like, I'm trying to think of I don't know.
Example.
Like, I guess I can use Matt's name. We can go Matt, and it's not just like, in Japan it would be Mato. It would just be very short.
Short and
It's
sweet.
like, unless there's like an extra character, because like Kogami, it's like Kogami, but if it was like Kogami, like how we say it, it would have a U in it, but it doesn't. So it's very short and crisp. So like, I don't know, it's just different in Japanese, and so they just pronounce it differently, and like they'll call her Nagisa instead of Nagisa. Like, they just emphasize things that shouldn't be, and it makes me so mad.
Right. Yeah.
It's not Nagisa, it's Nagisa.
Just differences in language, I guess.
The English doesn't make sense ever.
Going back to the Camp Pikachu thing, one of my favorite little moments in it was where
Duskull.
well, Duskull was kind of cool, and I hadn't noticed before. Mark made the point. He only has one eye; it just goes in between his two little eye sockets most of the time.
It does. It can go back and forth, but they just didn't animate it like that. Like in the animations and little Pokemon sprites, it does sometimes.
Yeah, but there's that little epic moment near the end because the whole point of this is that the Pichu brothers are trying to get on this train or whatever.
It's
And
the Pichu brothers.
I love
right.
the Pichu brothers.
Our
so
old friends,
much.
the Pichu brothers, were always seen in for.
They
Yeah.
were in
Oh,
other
yeah, they were-
Pokemon shorts.
Oh yeah, they were in the one before the anti
Yeah,
movie,
that-
right?
Yeah.
They were.
When they had that town
Yeah.
Yes.
with the Smeagol.
That one was cool, but
Snubble.
But if you recall, they're getting there and the train's just starting to leave, and they're like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" And they go to that a push cart? I don't know what you'd call it. The thing that you have on train tracks where you push one side up and down to get moving.
What's that called again?
Do you know what that's called, Matt?
I knew the push cart thing.
Yeah, that's what I called it, a push cart.
Well, it will be referred to as the push cart
There you
until
go.
proven otherwise.
The Shonen Man.
Yeah. So they go to the push cart, and all like the legions of why nuts suddenly emerge out of the ground to come
Why?
help them.
Why not?
Because
So-
why not?
Exactly. And you get that going, and then they're like, we're not going to catch up in time. And Cyndaquil goes nitro booster and just starts blasting behind him to make him go like super speed.
They
and
pull a red line.
That's right. And Totodile uses his hydro pump to like blast the Pichu all the way there. It just gets completely ridiculous, but it's like, hey, it's
And then
fun.
they
It's
like
awesome.
pull Assassin's Creed and they just land in a pile of hay.
Yes. I thought that was funny. And also, just at the very beginning, if you recall, the whole thing was like one of those, I don't know what's kind of train knowledge, not very good here, but one of those little things, that like hangs over train tracks and stuff. It like
Yeah.
came around and hit the Pichus while they were on the top of the train. That's what sent them flying.
Isn't that like a mailbag or something?
Yeah, that I think that is
Oh,
what
no,
it
no,
is.
it's not a mailbag. It is a water. I'm pretty sure. I will double check.
I
I'm
don't
positive that is a.
So I remember from Tom and Jerry they had something like that, and it was a mail thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
they-
is an
that was
an
the
American
water
Tail.
tower.
Oh, they used to
Okay.
have the mailbag in American Tail.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
why-
water.
That's another one I was thinking of too.
But
That was a good movie.
So that thing-
Watch that.
yeah, that thing comes around and hits
any of
them.
those.
And apparently, it wasn't going that fast, but it's enough to send them
It's
completely
a water
flying
tower.
out of out into the
Okay.
sky. So obviously,
Spoilery.
I don't know why the bag is on it, but
yes, we're watching
That's what we thought
the
the
movie
mailbag
right
was.
now. See, watch it hits them, and then they go completely flying into the sky, like completely disregarding physics.
physics don't.
Pokemon does not regard
Who's
physics.
this agreeable chap?
That's right. That was what the narrator said.
Love that.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
I love
He
why
just
not.
looks so happy, like all the time.
Always
Him
happy.
and Totodile are just like always happy.
It's true.
Like this is always the best time of their life. When's the best time of their life? Always.
Oh, and do you guys remember when they're at the waterfall and Totodile starts blasting them up to the top of the
Yeah.
waterfall? And then at first you think that he's just doing it to be a jerk, but then it's like, oh, now it's a
Totodile's
fun.
never a jerk ever.
Never.
Totodile's always happy.
Oh yeah. And then there was that whole bit where they went to the the clock tower thing, and
No,
that thing
it
gets
wasn't
started.
a clock tower. That's a
Watermill.
watermill.
Right, but they had gears
Which
going
makes
on
me
like
think
a
of like
clock.
episode 3 with like Brock and that watermill and Brock's dad. Oh yeah, memories.
Brock's very creepy
Did
dad.
you know the
Yeah,
episodes,
that jerk.
Like,
He's
offhand?
such a jerk. Rocks for sale.
Oh yes,
rocks.
and then there's this little dance at the end of the movie that all the Pokemon just start doing.
They do the chugga chugga choo choo.
It's adorable.
Is that what it's
though.
called? The Chugga Chugga Choo Choo dance?
No, it's just they're choo. See, they're sliding on the tracks. He's a train.
Yeah.
Pikachu is a train.
How exactly are they doing that?
Because
Physics.
physics.
Because of adorableness. I don't know. They're
course.
going by the power of cuteness.
See, I don't know what this part is with the. Then they go to the weird geometry shapes here on the side with the separated by train
But
tracks. and
Quill's
clouds.
like, Totodile. Just
It makes no sense, but we all know why it doesn't make sense because U.S. production for kids productions.
Okay.
For
Thank you
kids,
very much.
why?
Just thought we'd have to throw that in there.
All right. So, does anyone else have any thoughts on the Camp Pikachu movie? Did it leave any emotional impact with anyone?
Why not?
Well, I love the Pikachu brothers. Like
Duskull.
those mischievous little cheeky
And
little,
all the why nots that just to pop out under the rocks
nots.
to help push the cart.
Yeah.
That's what we talked
They're
about
just like,
earlier.
why
yay,
nots.
why
Which is
not?
funny because like to get a why not egg, you have to have an incense. So someone's got an incense somewhere breeding
Digital
why
effects,
nots.
that Camp Pikachu thing with the horn.
For
There
kids.
you go. 4 kids.
All right. There's the proof if you needed proof.
4 kids is the reason we have a random horn.
Yeah.
How
That's-
dare they?
Because they had to make it really Western.
Even though there's nothing really Western about it other than there's a train and they're in the wilderness.
Pretty much.
Apparently
I
that's
mean, there's
just,
nothing about that that's even like campy, except for Meowth and Wobbuffet. But even then, they're going on a hike.
Yeah, they're hiking.
That doesn't mean camp. You can go on a hike without camping.
Kids. 4 kids.
Misinterpreting our anime.
Changing the truth.
How dare
If they were in like train adventure, it would have been a lot more like acceptable.
Yeah, because that's what it was about, basically. So there you go. So of like the Pikachu mini movies, that one I wouldn't say was as good as the
man.
the other 2 I can remember. The only 2 I can remember are the one we watched before the Pokemon 2000 one, which was on the big tree, and then the one
Yep.
before the first movie.
That one's the best.
That
When
one-
Cubone was being a big jerk.
Yeah, because
yeah.
that one was actually kind of emotional because like Charizard gets stuck and it's
I
sad.
think like it just.
You don't remember the one in
Okay.
the city, but before the Entei one?
I do remember that one. That one's all right, but it wasn't as good as the first.
The thing with Charizard though, there's no physical way for them to get his head out of there without ripping the top half of his skull off. 'Cause
Well-
he has those horns.
Well,
And I remember looking at this going, wait, when I was this kid, because I overthink everything when I was a kid. I still do, but I'm looking at this going, wait, he has horns and they're pulling back. They're going to pull his head off. No, stop, don't do it. No. And he's like, got tears in his eyes. I'm like, no, you're hurting him, stop. And it just creeped me out
you
more
never
than
know.
anything.
Maybe secretly his horns are flexible and they just bend down.
There has never been any proof of that, Alex. They are horns. They are not
You never
squishy
know.
appendages. They are
Well-
not fingers.
And now I want to go back and rewatch that just so I can see the animation of like when he gets pulled out, like how
Like,
they
you
make
just-
that work.
Like, you don't even, no, you don't see it at all. Like, unless they, like, made his head tilt back so I could get the horns out. But even then, like, there's only one way in. You cannot get his head out of that pipe thing unless you cut the pipe open. No.
I thought you were the one telling me not to bring logic into Pokemon.
This is something different. This is something that just bothers me in general about things getting stuck in smaller containers.
How dare they?
It's like,
Is this
if
a
you...
pet peeve? Like,
Yes, it is.
things?
It's something that just unnerves me more than like everything. Like not as much as waiting in lines.
So are you
but
saying like when Winnie the Pooh gets stuck in his little hole in the Winnie the Pooh movie, like you're mad when they like
I
have to
still
pull
need
him
to
out?
see that.
like,
Wait, hold on a second. You tell me
Whoa.
you've never seen the original like Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh?
Oh, I've seen the old classic ones. I'm talking like I thought you were talking about the newest movie.
Oh no.
No.
I haven't seen it yet either, even though I've heard
Me
it's
neither.
good. But I love the old Walt Disney one.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
The heffalumps creep me out though. Oh my god, they scared me so much.
They never really scared me, but
They were just because Pooh was scared of them. I was scared of them because we're
Right.
supposed to relate to him. He's main character man.
exactly.
So they're scary. Therefore, scary.
Therefore scary. What got to me because I rewatched that movie like I think it was over the summer, and you watch the last like 3 minutes of that movie, like as an adult, and it's basically talking about how like Christopher Robin is growing up and going to school, and he's like talking to Pooh about like what happens when he's got to go, or like what is he saying? Like I don't want to do nothing like for the rest of my life or something like that, Basically, just the whole bit about talking about like growing up and stuff, and even though he may be gone, there will always be the Pooh in the 100-Acre Wood. And it's like all the tears, all the sadness.
I saw a mini comic. It was like Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbes and Pooh, and it showed Calvin and Christopher Robin walking away. And at first they're sad, and then they slowly just turn back into plush toys, and they're smiling. It's like, it's okay. We did good because they don't need us anymore.
Yep,
so we
I've
did a
seen
good
that.
job. And I was like, oh, God, no. Ow. My
Wow,
heart.
that is good.
My heart.
Well, I don't think it's from that movie. I think it's from one of the Winnie the Pooh books, but it's one of one of my favorite quotes. It's if you live to be 100, I want to live to be 100 minus 1, so I never have to live without you.
Oh, man.
Clara's
Ouch.
gonna have feels.
Ow.
Beware the
My
feels.
heart.
Whoa.
My heart. Ambulance.
We're calling 911 as we speak.
Ew. Oh, man.
Yeah. So,
Ouch.
Yeah, it's sad.
Wow.
So there you go. Some Winnie the Pooh talk to close out this Pokemon podcast.
Awesome.
Just kill me in the
As
process.
it should.
Oh, my heart.
All the sadness.
Thanks, guys.
All right. You're welcome, Clara. So,
Psychopaths. Jeez, Alex, you're the
yeah.
worst.
And you had Anohana too to pile on
You
top
are the
of
worst
it.
person.
Hey, I didn't force you to watch any of these.
You were the one who sent me the picture, though. I had no choice but to look at that.
I admit I did do that, and I got the reaction I wanted, so I'm happy.
You did that with malice. That was
Malice.
not cool.
It was not with malice. It was with playful intent.
How was that playful?
Trolling.
Oh, you're a jerk.
Whatever you say.
Whatever.
All right. So,
You know what? I'm just never going to say spooky boogie again. How about that?
Oh no.
Boogie boogie.
Nope.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
We know you want
I
to
think
say
I saw
it.
you fight the urge to say it.
Boogie boogie.
Why? Is it Vic on Clara night or something?
Why not?
Sure.
Why not? I didn't even.
I walked right into that.
I didn't even mean to do that.
Why not?
but I did
man.
it.
I'm leaving this podcast.
Okay, well, we are finishing up. So,
Oh, God.
if all of you out there enjoyed listening to this podcast, you can email us at techheads@abwproductions.com. You can follow us on Twitter at techheadsou. You can like us on Facebook. You can go to our fancy new website at techheads.me. We've got a nice WordPress page for the blog. It's very cool. ABW Media on iTunes. All sorts of cool stuff there. You can rate, subscribe, review us on iTunes. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you like Clara's new name, or if you want us to go back to using Clara.
No, that's not my name.
We could
Why set up for debate?
Why
Get
not?
out of here.
Let the fans decide.
Exactly.
Vote.
Why not?
Vote to decide if Clara gets to keep her name.
Yeah,
Not even my name.
you were saying earlier, you had two different personalities, Clara and Clara. So now the audience gets to decide which one they like more.
What's the difference?
Well,
There is a difference.
Clara is the person who's here on this podcast.
Who's
Clara
the
is
one getting her heart ripped down into millions of pieces.
and Clara's
That one.
Clara's the one on every episode leading up to now.
But there's no difference.
You haven't shipped anybody this episip.
That's true.
There's been no shipping.
I've said shipping though.
You've been talking about it, but we didn't get a new
You
ship.
haven't shipped anybody.
You have to make a new ship in order for this
Build
thing
a
to-
ship like Frankie from One Piece.
Exactly. Like
Perfect.
if
Build
you're-
a ship.
You
I
have an
don't know
armada.
that reference.
You have an armada. You have to build you have to build another ship to your armada
You know
every
what?
episode.
I ship Bolin with the twins. How about that?
With both of them?
Both of them.
Oh
At the
my!
same time?
Oh my.
That's a really triple decker. That's a triple decker deck of a boat. Whatever. I didn't know.
Triple decker.
Oh, all right. How about with one of them? How about
Wait,
that?
but hold on
the
a
one
second.
we've seen so far.
So if a ship though, like we call a singular ship, like just one person with one person, wouldn't two people with one person be a double decker ship, not triple?
I don't know, man. Just
I know.
don't confuse it.
Questions like these need to be answered.
Clara, you're the expert on shipping.
What kind of cannonballs do they use? What kind of material do they come out of?
Are they just whale lords? Is that what this is?
Everything's whale lords.
Are these
Oh,
like
no.
Spanish galleons or are these smaller? Sort
No,
of
they're
ships?
all metal warlords. They're like
Laboon?
No, One Piece.
I thought we were
the
ending
ship,
this
the,
podcast.
We're trying.
Oh, the guy, Ace's
You know what? I'm gonna drink some
Whitebeard,
water.
Whitebeard.
All right.
Whitebeard's Moby Dick.
The Moby Dick, yes.
All right, we're moving on.
I love
Before you
this
guys get on One
podcast.
Piece again.
These
We're
are
all
horrible
mentally
people.
insane.
Let's all go
Horrible
find the
people.
One Piece.
Yay.
Okay.
I'll find the One Piece.
It's been a fun podcast. I liked it.
Yeah, maybe fun for you.
Hey, come on. You were laughing.
Yeah, I had fun.
You had
Clara doesn't believe in this.
I don't believe in fun.
Is it Clara? Clara.
Clara
Well,
doesn't believe
so you
in
know,
fun.
Clara doesn't believe in fun, but maybe
But
Clara, does.
You'll have to find out next time.
the fans vote. Now go vote.
There you
Oh,
go.
man.
So go.
How
vote.
would you spell the difference?
Go to your local office.
to ours?
There's like a little, I don't know what you call it, a little enunciation mark above the A. That's how we'll clarify the two.
Clara.
Oh, you said clarify.
I know.
I hate
Funny.
that word.
Why do people?
never mind.
See, you've detested it so long that you let Alex go on with it for all these.
Fun fact: I've been really listening to a lot of the older podcasts. One of the ones where you are on, somebody said clarified, like completely not related to you, but I immediately thought of it as I was
know.
thinking.
Clarify.
Every time someone says that word, I look over going, yeah. And then it's like,
Yeah.
you're not talking about me. Okay.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
clarifying things.
I've had that too because you realize how many people in the world are named Alex, and you hear somebody say that, and you're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have that
Matt,
experience all
Matt,
the time.
How
Because
about
my name is
Matt?
Alex, too.
Oh, really?
feel for you.
Wait, so there's Clara,
Feels
Clara,
for her.
and Alex now.
Yeah, and then there's Charlie. He's me in man form.
Oh wow.
But it
Wait,
could also be Craig.
who's Alex then?
You'll find out.
Okay.
Next time.
So we've established now that
you give me
Clara,
your glasses,
Clara,
I'll be Alex.
Charlie, and Alex are four beings within one body, four personalities,
I am the civil system.
so many brains.
All of them.
All right.
Beret.
So you guys can look forward to next podcast where not only will we clarify
I'm going to shoot you.
the secret behind Clara's identity, but we'll also be talking about the show Steins Gate, one we've been wanting to do for a long time. We're finally getting around to doing it. So
kill you.
Matt will probably should be on that one since you've already seen it. You know, well, it'll be fun to talk about Steins Gate, cool time travel show. I think Clara's just gonna cry in a corner.
no, no.
as we
I'm so
wrap up.
broken right now.
Clara, you will like Steins Gate.
No, I'm excited for Steins Gate.
There's a character,
The
Mayushi.
doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, she goes do every time, and if in the English version, her one line is, "If you're on a chicken bender bag, oh shoot, if
screwed it up.
I know. If you're on a chicken bender, grab a box of chicken tenders. Bok, bok, bok."
So is that her one like actual line of dialogue?
No, yeah, she talks. She's like the not smart one of the group, but she's adorable.
Oh, okay.
She's that type of character.
I mean, it depends because I don't like
Oh,
unintelligent characters.
Real quick, something I wanted to mention because this is something we have to make a decision on for Steins Gate because on Hulu, the whole thing is up there, 24 episodes in Japanese, and they've got like, for whatever reason, only the first 12 are there in dub form, and the other 12
I would
are not.
recommend watching it dubbed and sub because they're both really good. And I know that's weird.
Watch the entire series both times.
twice in the course of a week.
Oh,
No, I'm
excited
saying
for that.
no. Watch the first 12 episodes in English and then watch the rest in the Japanese
But
version.
no, see, I'd be the opposite. I'd say stick with one or the other. Don't switch halfway through because it'll just be weird. You know, I'm personally, I'm probably gonna watch the Japanese just because I don't want to have to switch halfway through. But I have heard the English dub is great. So, although the one problem with it is it can't translate the bits where he speaks in English in the Japanese version.
Well,
So
no.
those-
See, the English part's like, we'll get it. I'll tell you after the podcast because they use inappropriate language there. So
Oh my!
you can't use it.
I never.
Can't talk about that on this podcast.
No, I can't.
All right, so thank you, Matt, very much for being on this podcast. It's been fun.
I love you.
Thank you, Andrew.
I love
for
you, Andrew.
All your
Pika.
feedback, and thank you,
some
Clara, or
feedback.
whoever you may be over there,
Give me some
for
feedback.
for
Matt,
having this nice debate
my
with
bro.
me on Pokemon Heroes.
You're
It's been
welcome.
Third gen.
fun. You know you like it. These two are fist pumping over here.
For third gen.
Third
I don't
gen.
know what's
Third
going
gen,
on.
Clara.
Hells yeah.
See, I don't know. I think second gen's probably my
Oh,
favorite
come on, we need-
overall.
Alex is
Either
out of
that-
the loop now. There's
out
a
of the
loop here,
first.
and Alex is out of the
But,
loop.
so, Clara, are you saying third gen's your favorite?
Third gen was the one that I honestly was into the most. Crystal version I
Chick.
loved. Except for, like, I just went through it with my Feraligatr and destroyed everything. Like, I just used my Feraligatr, so I never really, like, explored the different Pokemon I could use. Like, in Ruby, I had my Blaziken, which rocked everything. But then I also had my Jirachi, which I got from the Pokemon Coliseum, I think it was, the event that they had a Jirachi.
Oh,
so I used that. And then I have my level 70-something Linoone and my Skarmory. So those were, like, and I had contests, so I had contest Pokemon I always used. And they were just, I was a lot more active with all the other Pokemon. And I actually completed my Pokedex up until Charizard. Like, I didn't get Charmeleon or Charmander, which does make sense because I can just breed them, but I just haven't done it. But it's like, I have the majority of my Pokedex filled up, and I've got a little, like, certificate for it in my game because I've done it. So it's like the one game I invested my time I have over 800 hours in that game total.
Jeez.
I think my clock broke a little bit, but I mean, it yelled at me last time about it, so I don't think my clock works anymore.
Well, there you go.
My internal battery or whatever.
Clara loves 3rd gen the most.
Yeah. But I do love 5th gen. I very much do.
Really? So the newest gen, even more so like than 1st gen?
I mean, the older gens have nostalgia value, so they're always going to be higher, but the new gens, I love what they've done with it. I love it. I cannot wait till 6th gen. And I was skeptical, and I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yes, well, we might be able to talk about that a little bit on the next podcast because that Saturday event will have happened.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. Oh, man.
The excites.
Oh, man.
You know you want to say it.
Nope.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm fine.
But you're so excited, Clara.
I know.
You know you want to say it.
No, I'm done with this. This is never happening unless it's by Kenny's request.
Oh, why Kenny?
Oh.
Because he loves it the most.
Oh dear, we're gonna have to call. Before we end this podcast, we have moments.
No.
Oh,
We are-
are we really doing this right
Yes,
now?
we are going to
No.
call
calling
the Kenny.
Kenny. So you're saying if Kenny asks you to, you'll do it?
No.
Oh, but
Let's
if it's
call-
on the air, though, Clara, you have to...
I will
for the
never.
fans.
Oh, we're
demands.
calling
Oh.
Kenny.
I will never.
Shh. All right, let's...
No.
You better pick up Kenny.
No.
Okay.
Don't. No.
Hey, Kenny.
No.
We have a problem.
No.
Clara is not going to say her line "spooky boogie" unless you tell her to. So we
Because
need
Alex
you.
is a big jerk.
No, we need you to complete this podcast and ask it. We need a
no.
request.
No. No.
Tell her to say it, Kenny.
No.
Tell her to say it.
No.
Yeah, you're on speaker. You're on speakerphone. This podcast is still live. We need you. You are on a podcast over a phone.
Thank you very much. So you don't feel bad if you don't have to, but I'm sure they will if you did and make a fantastic podcast. I would appreciate it. You do what feels right.
He said it so nicely, Clara.
You would appreciate.
I can't not do this.
One more time, Kenny.
I
all right,
can't.
Clara. It's all right.
I love all of you. He's right.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kenny.
Fine.
Thank you, Kenny.
Oh.
Fine.
Oh, we're gonna get it.
What? You're just laughing. She's laughing too hard. She can't do it.
At this point, it's very difficult.
Boogie boogie.
Yay! All right.
You guys had a great podcast.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you,
Kenny.
guest star
Kenny.
Kenny. You saved this podcast. Bye.
You guys are big bullies.
Hey, no, you said something and we just made it happen. That's
Yes.
all. We didn't do anything you didn't want us
This
to
is
do.
probably one of the most entertaining podcasts.
I
Exactly.
hate you, except for Andrew.
Score. Oh, just Matt and I. Apparently, we're the jerks over
You
here.
should. Kenny was the one who said it.
Yeah, but Kenny was nice. You guys have been tormenting me the whole
Kenny
time.
was very nice about it. I mean, let's be honest.
All right.
Kenny's polite gentleman. Unlike you barbarians.
He's a gentleman and a scholar.
Us gentlemen and a scholar.
Barbarians.
All right, so there you go. An exciting
business, Cal.
ending to this episode of Shred Cels. So look forward to more fun goodness next week when we talk about Steins Gate.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2012.